Chapter 1360. Ningqing smiled slightly. I thought you knew me. Ningqing was not talking nonsense. Given his strength and identity, most of the people who came to Heavens Beyond should know him. Even Mo Zhou, who had just arrived, knew him. Unexpectedly, Kongzai did not. Kongzai said awkwardly, I want to find something I lost, so I want to stay in Heavens Beyond. I only came here to sign up for the fight. I didn't participate in anything else, nor did I inquire about anything. Mo Zhou probably guessed what I was looking for. Besides, he coveted my Dharma treasure and always wanted to kill me. We fought and killed along the way to Heavens Beyond. Although I'm slightly weaker than him, he can't do anything to me. I understand. You probably want to use Mo Zhou to hone your strength, right? Ningqing guessed that Kongzai did not really want to stay in heaven and earth, but Mo Zhou did want to stay there. Kongzai chuckled. That's what I'm thinking, but I really want to stay in Heavens Beyond. Although he was not Mo Zhou's match, he was not afraid of him at all. It could be said that Mo Zhou could not kill him if he did not find someone to help him. As for finding people who were a threat to him, there weren't many of them in this universe. Ningqing also smiled. If I'm not wrong, you should be looking for the Tai Chi Human King art if you want to stay in Heavens Beyond. Kongzai's expression changed. He took a few steps back and looked at Ningqing vigilantly. Do you know who I am? Ningqing nodded. Not only do I know that you're the Human King Tao Lord Kongzai of the 5 Grand Realms, but I also know who has your Tai Chi Human King art. In Ningqing's opinion, Kongzai was definitely looking for the Tai Chi Human King art. Kongzai staying in Heavens Beyond could also be explained. After all, Heavens Beyond was the place where the major plane intersected. Information was the most well-informed there. Once Kongzai's Tai Chi Human King art appeared, as long as Kongzai stayed in Heavens Beyond, he would definitely know. Kongzai cupped his fists at Ningqing politely. I'm Kongzai. May I know your title, Taoist? Ningqing waved his hand and spoke. I am called Ningqing. As for the Tai Chi Human King art, I have indeed seen it before. Not only have I seen it, but I have also fought against this magical weapon. At that time, the person who possessed the Tai Chi Human King art was too weak and wasn't my opponent. Kongzai's eyes flashed with a trace of excitement. Brother Ning, please tell me who has the Tai Chi Human King art. From Kongzai's eyes and tone, Ningqing could feel that Kongzai was very eager to learn the Tai Chi Human King art. At the same time, Ningqing also had 2 big doubts. The first doubt was that Zhu Qinyi plotted against Kongzai. Did Kongzai not know about it? If Kongzai knew, then he should have guessed who had the Tai Chi Human King art. Secondly, since Kongzai had been plotted against, his strength should be lower than Zhu Qinyi's. The strength that Kongzai displayed now was far greater than Zhu Qinyi's. Don't you know who it was that sneak attacked you? Ningqing asked in puzzlement. Kongzai shook his head and said, I don't know. I only know that I was ambushed twice. After I reincarnated, I lost the Human King technique. Now that I've cultivated to this level, the first thing I want to do is to learn the Tai Chi Human King art, as soon as possible. Ningqing suddenly felt moved. After Kongzai reincarnated, his strength had once again cultivated to this level. Moreover, if he could reincarnate, then he wouldn't die completely. The person who ambushed you was Tao Lord Chang Tian of the Grand Beginning Realm. He was ambushed by Tao Lord Tai Xiao Yi and lost the Grand Beginning Eternal Sky technique. Then he ambushed you and took away the Tai Chi Human King art. But according to him, he didn't kill you. Ningqing did not hide it, and told Kongzai directly. Kongzai was stunned when he heard Ningqing's words. After a while he murmured, I have the best friendship with Zhu Qinyi. Why would he sneak attack me? Ningqing did not explain. He couldn't explain this kind of thing at all, nor did he know what was going on. No, I have to go to the Grand Beginning Realm to find him now. Kongzai immediately made up his mind. Ningqing suddenly said, I hope that Tao friend Kong can wait for me to deal with the matters in Heavens Beyond of heaven and earth before we go there together. Why? Kongzai looked at Ningqing doubtfully. Ningqing still did not hide it and answered, He also took something from my friend. Although he wasn't my match at the time, he took the opportunity to seal the entire Grand Beginning Realm through the method of closing the realm. At that time, I had to break the realm seal of the Grand Beginning Realm in order to catch him. which would cause countless innocent people to die. At that time, I held back and left the grand beginning realm. Now that I've successfully reached Dao integration, I can easily break the realm seal. It's just that I've been busy and haven't had the time to go there. When Kong Zai heard Ning Cheng's words, he said to Ning Cheng with cupped fists respectfully, "Okay, Kong Zai will definitely wait for Dao friend Ning to go there together." What he respected the most was people like Ning Cheng, but what he hated the most were those cultivators who, for their own selfishness, did not care about the life and death of others. Kong Zai and Ning Cheng felt like old friends at first sight. They chatted happily and finally called each other brothers. Kong Zai and Ning Cheng hit it off very well. As they chatted along the way, the two unknowingly arrived at the 19th floor of the Heaven Gate Dao Pagoda. On the 19th floor, even if Ning Cheng's body was strong, even if he had a thunder spiritual root and the ability to absorb the thunder source, he would still have to bring out his weapon to resist. Fortunately, although the everlasting Sky Thunder City was damaged, it was the best place to absorb the thunder source. Your weapon belongs to Esteemed Limitless. If Esteemed Limitless hadn't fallen, he might have come to settle accounts with you. Seeing Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City, Kong Zai said with a smile. Ning Cheng didn't care. Esteemed Limitless must have fallen. Even if he hadn't fallen, he wouldn't fear Esteemed Limitless. Brother Kong, we don't have to go up anymore. I'm afraid this Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda doesn't have 36 floors. Otherwise, no matter how strong one is, they wouldn't be able to reach the 36th floor. Kong Zai shook his head and said, "Brother Ning, you're wrong. Although the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda isn't a Khanate weapon, it's second only to Khanate weapons. Not only does it have 36 floors, but it's also a real 36 floors. But as for the Daoist controlling the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda, he has limited strength. At most, he could open more than 20 floors. As you said, it doesn't make any sense for us to go up. Once we get here, we can definitely enter the top 10. Ning Cheng knew that Kong Zai definitely knew more about this than him. Since Kong Zai said so, it also made sense. He suddenly remembered something and took out a pot handle fragment, handed it to Kong Zai and asked, "Brother Kong, this pot handle fragment contains the shadow of a giant bell. Does Brother Kong know what kind of bell it is? Who owns this treasure?" Kong Zai took the pot handle fragment from Ning Cheng's hand and swept it with his spiritual consciousness. After a while, he handed the pot handle fragment to Ning Cheng with a solemn expression and said, "Brother Ning, I've seen this bell before. It's called the Primal Chaos Bell. The powerhouse who owns this bell is called Dao Lord Primal Chaos, and is extremely powerful. Even when the Primal Chaos Bell and the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe collided, it didn't suffer any damage. After the first Good Fortune War, both Dao Lord Primal Chaos and the Primal Chaos Bell disappeared. This Dao Lord Primal Chaos has a mysterious origin." Ning Cheng remained silent. This was another powerhouse who was no less powerful than the owner of a Good Fortune treasure, or Dao Lord Fate. If these powerhouses also came out during the Second Good Fortune War, not to mention competing for first place, it might be difficult for him to even occupy a place. "Brother Ning, it's still too early for the Second Good Fortune War. Let's go out." Kong Zai had amazing experience and could see Ning Cheng's worries at a glance. Given Ning Cheng's strength at the early stage Dao integration realm, it would be abnormal if he did not look forward to winning a place in the Good Fortune Gate. When Ning Cheng and Kong Zai landed on the competition platform, not many people came out. On the Dao Charm list outside the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda, Ning Cheng and Kong Zai were both on the 19th floor. Ning Cheng was temporarily ranked first. Ning Cheng did not see Mo Zhou, but he knew that Mo Zhou would not stay here. Even though Mo Zhou had won first place in the 4th category, Battle Formations, he would definitely have a place here. However, Mo Zhou was seriously injured. Even if he stayed here and obtained a place, he would not be able to keep it. Yu Xiangbing was also not on the competition platform. It seemed that she had left as soon as she came out. Ning Cheng and Kong Zai waited on the competition platform for about 4 hours before many contestants were teleported out of the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. This time, because of Ning Cheng, Mo Zhou could not go on a killing spree in the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. Even so, only about 600 people came out, and 100 or 200 people died in the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. Dao Lord gazing landed on the competition platform and nodded at Ningcheng. Then he cupped his fists and said, "The first round of the 5th category battle formations has ended. Now the top 10, please stay on the competition platform. The rest of the contestants can leave the competition platform." The top 10 had already been shown in the Dao charm outside the Heaven Gate Thunder Pagoda. There was no need for Dao Lord gazing to repeat it. After hundreds of contestants left the competition platform, Dao Lord gazing continued. The first battle of the second round will be between Ningcheng from the Grand Essence Realm and Lin Qi from the Longevity Realm. Ningcheng stepped onto the 19th floor, although Kongzai had also stepped onto the 19th floor. Because Ningcheng had teleported out first, he was ranked first in the first round. Lin Qi had a creation realm cultivation, but in Ningcheng's opinion, it was also a false realm. Xiao Xinqi and Ao Kan's creation realms were stronger than Lin Qi's. I admit defeat. After Lin Qi knew that his opponent was Ningcheng, he chose to admit defeat without hesitation. He had seen Ningcheng's strength before. When Ningcheng and the Sacred Dao Sect Master teamed up to deal with more than a dozen third-step experts, he had been watching from the outside. Although he had climbed to the 15th floor of the Heaven Gate Dao Pagoda, he knew very well that he could not compare to Ningcheng in terms of strength. When Lin Qi walked off the competition platform, no one felt that he had done anything wrong. Ningcheng and the Sacred Dao Sect Master had teamed up to defeat 14 third-step experts, including several integration realm powerhouses. With such strength, there should be no doubt that he would win first place. The others who participated in the battles worked hard to get second or third place. Chapter 1361. The second battle of the second round was between Kongzai and the 9th ranker of the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda. The 9th ranker was a woman at the early stage of the creation realm. The difference in strength between him and Kongzai was too great. If Kongzai had not shown mercy, he would probably have lost his life. Ningcheng naturally knew about Kongzai's strength. Not to mention that Kongzai was a grand ultimate Dao integration realm Dao Lord. Even his strength when fighting against Emozhou was not something that ordinary creation realm cultivators could compare to. Initially, Ningcheng thought that the 3 most powerful people in this battle should be him, Kongzai, and Emozhou. But since he and Kongzai teamed up to force Emozhou to run away, there shouldn't be any suspense about first and second place. However, after 5 rounds of fights, Ningcheng realized just how wrong his thinking was. Ningcheng was not the only powerhouse in the world. Kongzai and Emozhou weren't the only powerhouses in this battle. In the 3rd and 5th matches, Ningcheng once again met 2 terrifying characters. Xiao Jingqian was a contestant from the 3 Elements realm. He was at the peak of the creation realm. This person was ranked 3rd in the Heavenly Gate Lightning Pagoda, but he had easily defeated his opponent, Wan Tai, who was ranked 8th in the Heavenly Gate Lightning Pagoda. In the introduction, Xian Mao was a wandering cultivator. It's just that this person was even more terrifying. Ningcheng suspected that this person was even stronger than Emozhou. In the Heaven Gate Lightning Pagoda, Xian Mao was only ranked 6th, yet he had instantly killed Wu Leng, who was ranked 5th. This was the only one out of the 5 matches where the contestant had died. In comparison, the innocuous realm's Yu Yinshin, who was ranked 5th in the Sky Gate Lightning Pagoda, had spent a lot of effort to defeat his opponent. Xiao Jingqian was one thing. In Ningcheng's view, this person was at most a character similar to Feng Xian, although his strength was very strong, but it was not enough to pose a threat to him. As for that Xian Mao, Ningcheng felt a bit of fear in his heart. This person's skin was extremely white, and he looked very delicate. His magic treasure did not match his appearance. It was an octagonal cosmic hammer. That hammer strike he used to kill his opponent easily tore apart his opponent's law domain before directly hammering him to death. Since Ningcheng's debut, he had seen more than one powerhouse who could destroy the laws of heaven and earth with just a raise of their hand. Most of these cultivators had powerful great paths, and could override the rules of heaven and earth in the space they were in. But this Xian Mao, Ningcheng could only feel that his strength was just too formidable. He tore apart the laws of heaven and earth around him, relying solely on his own strength. Ningcheng also secretly sighed in his heart. In the vast universe, he had no idea how many powerful people were hidden within. It was just that the universe was too big, so he didn't know about it before. Xiao Jingqian, Xian Mao, and Mo Zhou had come to this competition. How many other experts like these two had not come? Brother Ning, I feel that this person is somewhat familiar. He most likely participated in the first Good Fortune War, but I can't remember who he is. Kong Zai looked at Xian Mao and cautiously whispered in Ning Cheng's ear. Ning Cheng nodded. I can also see it, the cultivation method he uses tends to be very powerful. I'm thinking, could he be cultivating in a strength-type cultivation technique? Kong Zai said without hesitation. It must be a strength cultivation technique. Otherwise, it would be impossible for it to shatter the laws of the heaven and earth with a single hammer strike. If I'm not wrong, that octagonal cosmic hammer of his is something that ordinary people can't even lift. Ning Cheng slightly frowned. He had also come into contact with some of the strength cultivation methods. His law-breaking finger actually had the shadow of a strength cultivation technique. It's just that he hadn't cultivated a strength cultivation technique. Moreover, his law-breaking finger was more inclined to his understanding and perception of the laws of heaven and earth. If Xian Mao had only cultivated a branch of a strength cultivation technique, then it wouldn't have mattered. But if this person cultivated a complete strength cultivation technique, then maybe he would be another Xingxi. Dao Lord gazing landed on the battle platform, and his gaze also vaguely swept over Kong Zai and Xian Mao. He already knew about Ning Cheng's strength. Kong Zai and Xian Mao's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. Neither of these two was any weaker than Ning Cheng. Dao Lord gazing quickly retracted his gaze and spoke with a clear voice. Dao friends, the second round of the competition has ended. The top 5 are Grand Essence Realms Ning Cheng and Rogue Cultivator Kong Zai. Kong Zai's original name was Extreme Book, but it has been changed. 3 Essence Realms Xiao Jingqian, Innocuous Realms Yu Yinchen, and Rogue Cultivator Xian Mao. Now for the third round, the 5 of you will draw lots. After saying that, Dao Lord gazing raised his hand and threw out 5 crystal balls wrapped in restrictions. Ning Cheng raised his hand and caught one of them. He had good luck against Yu Yinchen. Among the 5, Yu Yinchen's strength should be the weakest. Kong Zai faced Xiao Jingqian. In Ning Cheng's opinion, Xian Mao, who was the strongest, had a bye. In the first match of the third round, Ning Cheng faced Yu Yinchen. Yu Yinchen's Dharma treasure was an ink dipper. When Ning Cheng saw this Dharma treasure, he remembered Kong Zai's Human Sovereign Book and the mysterious long brush. Innocuous Realms Yu Yinchen greets Dao friend Ning. Please show mercy. After Yu Yinchen brought out the ink dipper, he didn't attack immediately. Instead, he bowed and cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. Anyone who came to Heavens Beyond earlier knew about the strength of Ning Cheng and the sacred Dao sect master. Yu Yinchen naturally knew about it, even though he felt that he shouldn't be Ning Cheng's opponent. But now that he was in this place, he really couldn't accept it without a fight. If he defeated Ning Cheng, he would directly enter the top 3. Ning Cheng nodded and brought out the Creation Divine Spear before saying, "Let's do it." Good spear. After Ning Cheng brought out the Creation Divine Spear, Xian Mao's eyes lit up and he immediately praised it. Dao friend Xian, why do you say that this is a good spear? Dao friend Ning is clearly using a high-grade divine artifact. Xiao Jingqian, who was standing next to Xian Mao, suddenly asked with a smile. Xian Mao glanced at Xiao Jingqian coldly. Who are you? Are you qualified to talk to me? You're just cultivating a small Dao. Xiao Jingqian's face turned cold. He wanted to make friends with Xian Mao because he saw that he was too powerful. He hadn't expected such a person to exist. In the Dao world, one should not take the initiative to offend others if there was no conflict of interest. This Xian Mao was too arrogant. He had only asked a question, and he had been humiliated like this. While the two of them were talking, Ning Cheng and Yu Yinchen had already started fighting. Yu Yinchen's ink dipper constantly drew out ink lines. Each ink line directly cut open the space, and had nothing to do with the surroundings. However, Ning Cheng's spear pattern blocked the cut space unhurriedly. In the end, it actually formed pieces of spear pattern space. The Dao runes on the competition stage surged. On the surface, it looked much more exciting than the fight between the top 10 and the top 5. Only Yu Yinchen himself knew that not only was he not Ning Cheng's opponent, but he was also far from it. He indeed had a trump card that he hadn't used yet. But looking at Ning Cheng's appearance, he estimated that he hadn't even brought out a third of his strength. If he continued to fight, he would only be humiliating himself. Thinking of this, Yu Yunchen's ink dipper's ink lines suddenly gathered and formed a large ink domain. He wanted to withdraw from the battle and admit defeat. The instant his ink domain was formed, Yu Yunchen sensed that the ubiquitous spear patterns had disappeared. Even if he didn't form an ink domain, he could still retreat. Yu Yunchen's face turned red. He knew that if Ning Cheng wanted to kill him, he wouldn't have been able to fight with the other party for so long. He estimated that he would have lost a long time ago. Ning Cheng knew that he wanted to retreat and took the initiative to stop attacking. Many thanks, Dao friend Ning, for showing mercy. I've lost this fight. After Yu Yunchen finished speaking, he quickly withdrew from the battle stage. At this moment, he somewhat admired Lin Qi. Taking the initiative to admit defeat gave him a bit more face than fighting. Ning Cheng wins the first round of the third round. The second round will be fought by Kong Zai against Xiao Jingqian. As Dao Lord Mountain Gaze announced the start of the second round, Kong Zai and Xiao Jingqian were already standing in the middle of the battle stage. Xiao Jingqian had just been humiliated by Xian Mao, so his expression was still a little ugly. At this moment, he didn't have a good expression when facing Kong Zai. Are you thinking of defeating me and then teaching Xian Mao a lesson? Kong Zai looked at Xiao Jingqian and said with a smile. He had been listening to the conversation between Xiao Jingqian and Xian Mao. You're right. If you admit defeat, I'll have less strength. Xiao Jingqian had already regained his composure when he heard Kong Zai's words. For many years, everyone who spoke to him had been very respectful. At this moment, he suddenly realized that someone who didn't take him seriously was a little out of sorts. He should have remembered that he had been respected in the Three Essence realm. This was the beyond of heaven and earth, where the peerless experts of this universe gathered. Since everyone was a peerless expert, why should he lose his composure when he was humiliated by others? Xiao Jingqian took a deep breath and completely adjusted his mentality. Even his state of mind had improved slightly. Xiao Jingqian sighed. He wasn't happy because of this. Instead, he was a little disappointed that he couldn't be absolutely indifferent to praise and humiliation. Not bad. You adjusted your mentality very quickly. It seems like you don't care about what happened just now anymore. It's no wonder that you have such achievements. However, I want to tell you that you and Xian Mao are both wrong. Kong Zai said unhurriedly. Xiao Jingqian looked at Kong Zai in confusion. He knew that Kong Zai was very strong, but he didn't understand what Kong Zai meant. Kong Zai said faintly, in fact, Xian Mao didn't look down on you. Instead, he valued you very much. He didn't say you were anything, but he wanted to affect your state of mind. Although you've let go of your anger just now, you still desire to get rid of Xian Mao and take revenge. You're saying that the reason Xian Mao said those words just now was to disturb my state of mind and make me want to kill him so that he can take advantage of me? After Xiao Jingqian asked this question, he knew that Kong Zai was right. Xian Mao must have had such thoughts. Kong Zai nodded. Actually, Xian Mao probably regarded you as his strongest opponent. Therefore, when you asked that question, he tore a crack in your state of mind. On the surface, you don't seem to care about this matter anymore, but this crack is still there. That's my fault. Xian Mao succeeded, Xiao Jingqian answered calmly. Kong Zai shook his head. He was wrong. Actually, his strongest opponent isn't you. You said that you will fight Xian Mao in the end. After Xiao Jingqian asked this question, killing aura surrounded him, and a huge mirror appeared above his head. Kong Zai extended the long brush in his hand and drew waves of Dao rune fluctuations. However, he said, it's not me either. Take a look at my one-stroke painting spring and autumn first. Chapter 1362. Under Kong Zai's stroke, instead of saying that the 4 seasons began to change, it was more accurate to say that the various Dao charm laws began to change rapidly. Ning Cheng had seen Kong Zai and Mo Zhou fight before, but he didn't know that Kong Zai had such a move. This kind of rapid change in attribute laws was the most difficult to resist. However, Ning Cheng felt that this method wouldn't have much use against him. He had a full attribute spiritual root and cultivated various Dao charm laws. Even if Kong Zai's spirit technique changed rapidly, it wouldn't affect him at all. Xiao Jingqian also didn't care about it. The huge mirror turned into an illusory space, which instantly covered the battle stage. At this time, the onlookers, including Ningcheng, could only see the various Dao charm laws constantly changing in the middle of the battle stage. A moment ago, it was scorching hot, but a moment later, it turned ice cold. All kinds of Dao charm laws collided in the illusory space in the middle of the battle stage, and Dao charm ripples spread out over the battle stage. Although the onlookers didn't know the situation of the battle between the two, they couldn't help but secretly feel shocked. It's just that the battle stage didn't allow one's spiritual consciousness to penetrate it, so one could only see it with their own eyes. Therefore, no one knew who had the upper hand in this clash of Dao charm laws. Ning Cheng's gaze moved away from the battle circle in the middle of the battle stage, and glanced at Xian Mao. He saw Xian Mao shake his head. Apparently, he wasn't satisfied with the battle. Ning Cheng's heart moved. Could this Xian Mao see the battle clearly? Even if he stood on the battle stage, he could only vaguely feel that Kong Zai had a slight upper hand through the fluctuations of the Dao charm collision. If Xian Mao could see through this situation with his naked eyes, it meant that he had a Dao Eye spirit technique. If that was the case, then he might have seen through the results of the draw. Boom! An even more violent explosion interrupted Ning Cheng's thoughts. A huge decree word almost covered the entire battle stage. The decree word carried an imperial aura, as if the universe itself was pressing down and imprisoning Xiao Jingqian's huge mirror. The Dao charm obstruction in the middle of the battle stage had disappeared, leaving only Kong Zai and Xiao Jingqian facing each other. The only difference was that Xiao Jingqian's mirror was imprisoned by Kong Zai's decree word. Boom! The two confronted each other for less than 3 breaths, and the imprisoned mirror erupted with a violent roar. Then the giant mirror soared into the sky and broke free from the word decree. After the giant mirror broke free, the word decree also vanished into thin air. A trace of blood leaked out from the corner of Xiao Jingqi's mouth. He did not wipe it off, nor did he continue attacking. Instead, he looked at Kong Zai and said, "It looks like you were right. I have lost this battle." Kong Zai did not feel proud at all. He put away his brush and said, "I have more experience than you." Xiao Jingqian nodded, turned around and walked out of the stage. What he said just now meant that the reason why he lost was not because he was weak, but just as Kong Zai had said, he was not as experienced as Kong Zai. Dao Lord Wangshan came to the competition platform again, and nodded at Kong Zai. Then he said to the crowd, "The top 3 have been decided. Let's continue to draw lots and then proceed to the 4th round." Kong Zai raised his hand to stop mountain gazing Dao Lord from speaking. "There's no need to draw lots. Ning Meng and I will not get a bye. The one who gets a bye is definitely the other one. Ning Cheng and I are friends, and I don't want to fight. In that case, it's better for me to be 3rd. When Ning Cheng heard Kong Zai's words, he knew that Kong Zai recognized Xian Mao. At the same time, Kong Zai's words also showed that Xian Mao could see through the restriction on the lot ball. Dao Lord Wangshan felt helpless. He understood Kong Zai's words, but unfortunately, he had no way to stop it from happening. He couldn't ask Ning Cheng for help. Ning Cheng was a contestant, while he was the host of the competition. It represented their incompetence. Besides, Ning Cheng might not be able to stop Xian Mao from seeing through the restriction on the lot drawing. Xian Mao glanced at Kong Zai and said in a flat tone, "Whether you participate or not, you will be the 3rd. After saying this, Xian Mao walked directly to the middle of the battle platform and said to Ning Cheng, "Let's end this quickly. This is the last round of the competition." As if to deliberately oppress Ning Cheng's mind, Xian Mao deliberately swung the cosmic hammer in his hand a few times. With just a few swings, Ning Cheng felt the laws of the surrounding space start to tremble. This was a powerhouse, a true powerhouse. Ning Cheng clenched the good fortune divine spear. He didn't have any confidence in this battle. However, it wouldn't be easy for Xian Mao to kill him. "Your long spear looks good. Where did you get it?" What Ning Cheng didn't expect was that Xian Mao, who regarded other people's lives as ants, didn't start the fight immediately. Instead, he asked Ning Cheng an irrelevant question. Ning Cheng knew that Xian Mao was a fellow who ignored the life and death of others. In the previous 5 rounds, he killed his opponents alone. With Xian Mao's strength, if he didn't want to kill, he could easily defeat his opponents. Therefore, he didn't have a good impression of Xian Mao. Where my weapon came from has nothing to do with you. It's like I didn't ask you where your weapon came from. As you said, let's end this quickly. Xian Mao showed a slight smile and didn't feel angry. I can admit defeat, as long as you give me your long spear. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. Why don't you give me your octagonal hammer as a paperweight? I happen to lack a paperweight. Xian Mao's eyes flashed with sarcasm. No one in this world can use my heaven and earth hammer as a paperweight. Let's talk about your long spear. I know your strength, and you are not my opponent. Of course, it would take me a lot of effort to kill you, and I don't like to waste time. Besides, it doesn't matter to me whether I kill you or not. If I didn't guess wrong, your long spear is refined from the profound sky iron essence and the 5 elements spirit water, right? You have the 5 elements spirit water and the profound sky iron essence. As far as I know, there is only one piece of the profound sky iron essence, and it was snatched away by that axe-wielding fellow. How did it end up in your hands? Ning Cheng's eyes twitched. Xian Mao could see the material of the good fortune divine spear? Once something like the 5 elements spirit water was exposed, wouldn't it mean that his good fortune mysterious yellow bead would be exposed again? You don't have to worry, I can see it. It's because your long spear hasn't advanced to the point of surpassing the best quality spirit artifact, so I can. Before he could even finish his words, the octagonal hammer in Xian Mao's hand suddenly smashed towards Ning Cheng with a violent aura. It didn't use any spirit techniques, just a head-on attack. Ka. Ning Cheng heard bursts of fragmenting laws. These fragmenting laws didn't just belong to the laws between heaven and earth, but even his domain began to shatter. This person was too strong. Xian Mao was not only strong, but also insidious. After attracting Ning Cheng's attention, he suddenly attacked. In Ning Cheng's eyes, this person was a person who would achieve his goals by hook or by crook. Ning Cheng brought out the 5th reincarnation bridge, and at the same time, the good fortune divine spear's traceless spear pattern formed. Boom! The octagonal hammer hadn't even hit the reincarnation bridge, when the bridge trembled violently. Cracks started to appear on the bridge's surface. For the first time, the reincarnation bridge looked so fragile. A dull force slammed into Ning Cheng's Dao charm, suppressing Ning Cheng to the point that he almost vomited. Boom! Squeak, squeak, squeak. The good fortune divine spear and Xian Mao's octagonal hammer's Dao charm finally collided. Ning Cheng's aura of Dao charm, under the power of the octagonal hammer, directly collapsed. The traceless spear pattern's method of tearing through the void had no effect in this place. Any Dao aura or divine ability would be directly shattered by such a crushing and powerful bombardment. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath, and his Dao charm crazily swept towards the good fortune divine spear. At the same time, he brought out the 7 Bridges Realm Book. After the 7 Bridges Realm Book, he also brought out the 1st Bridge of Coping, the 2nd Looking Home Bridge, the 3rd Forgetting River Bridge, the 4th Yellow Springs Bridge, and the 6th Other Shore Bridge. Apart from the battle with Xingxi, when Ning Cheng brought out 6 bridges at the same time, he had never brought out all 6 bridges in a fight against others. Even when he fought against Xingxi, he didn't bring out the 7 Bridges Realm Book. But at this time, he even brought out the 7 Bridges Realm Book. The 7 bridges instantly connected, and the surging Dao charm rumbled endlessly in the void. The originally cracked 5th reincarnation bridge also began to repair due to the intervention of the 7 Bridges Realm Book. The 6 bridges stretched on, and the Dao charm surged, forming a unique law-based space. In this place, one would die if they lived, and one would die if they died. The 7 bridges connected, and there was no turning back. You could go, but you couldn't. Xian Mao, who originally had a calm expression, turned ugly when he saw Ning Cheng's 6 bridges. When he saw the Dao charm of the 6th Other Shore Bridge sweeping towards him, he almost turned around and ran away. Fortunately, his strong will helped him stabilize his footing. But in the end, he didn't see the 7th reincarnation bridge, which made him sigh in relief. As long as the 7th reincarnation bridge didn't exist, he wouldn't fear it even if the 7 Bridges Realm Book connected it. The huge millstone under the reincarnation bridge tumbled, and the huge Dao charm grinded away the huge power of the octagonal heaven-earth hammer. Although the reincarnation bridge couldn't support this violent aura, Ningcheng stood on the Yellow Springs Bridge and brought out the Good Fortune Divine Spear to help. Moreover, the Seven Bridges Realm Book also repaired the damage to the Seven Bridges. Under such circumstances, the hammer that tore through the planar boundaries was actually blocked. Xian Mao gave a muffled groan. Was this enough? He opened his mouth and spat out an arrow of blood, forcibly cutting off the Dao charm of the octagonal heaven-earth hammer. The octagonal heaven-earth hammer swung again. This time, it seemed to swallow the mountains, rivers, and the universe as it smashed towards Ningcheng and his 6 bridges. Die. Xian Mao's eyes were full of hostility. Ever since he achieved great success, no one with a weaker cultivation had ever made him feel so embarrassed. Even though his current strength wasn't even 1,000th of his peak, he still believed that he could turn Ningcheng into nothingness with this hammer. The surging Dao charm trembled under this hammer, and even the Seven Bridges Realm Book, which was connected to the 6 bridges, made a buzzing sound at this moment. It wasn't that the Seven Bridges Realm Book wasn't strong enough, but that Ningcheng's strength was too weak to bring out 1/10,000th of the Seven Bridges Realm Book's strength. As the hammer fell, the sky was obscured, and as the hammer fell, the earth shook. Everyone outside the Heavens Beyond competition stage looked at this hammer in disbelief. They kept retreating and sighing at the same time. So what if they occupied the Heavens Beyond? Could the Heavens Beyond of heaven and earth remain intact after this hammer fell? Chapter 1363. The laws shattered and space collapsed. Even if Ningcheng's Seven Bridges Realm Book could barely connect the 6 bridges, it couldn't block such a terrifying hammer. In the face of absolute power, ordinary nomological spirit powers were nothing. If Ningcheng had the time to think about it, he would even wonder why the strength spirit power wasn't classified as the number 1 spirit power. Under this hammer, there was nowhere to hide except to resist it. At the same time, Ningcheng also felt Xian Mao's cold-blooded ruthlessness. Even if he could avoid this hammer, more than 80% of the people on the Heavens Beyond Square would die. Almost 100 million people came to participate and watch the Heavens Beyond Grand Tournament, and tens of millions of people gathered on the square. Not only did Xian Mao's hammer destroy the Heavens Beyond Square, but it also broke the laws of Heavens Beyond Square. Many people also felt the terror of this hammer, and they all fled. Unfortunately, this hammer used just its strength to lock down the space in this area. The people on the square could only feel that their movements were slow, even if they had calm strength. The violent aura suppressed Ningcheng, making it difficult for him to even open his eyes. Ningcheng's heart was like a mirror. If he couldn't block this hammer, he would die without a doubt. After he died, most of the people here would die as well. People with ability wouldn't be stupid enough to help others. Facing Xian Mao's hammer head-on, they would only make way. Essence blood and Dao runes burned crazily at this moment, and the 7 bridges could only slow down the hammer for a moment. Ningcheng didn't flinch. Instead, he faced the hammer head-on and blasted out a finger at the same time. It wasn't the order-breaking finger, but the 3rd stage of the Age Realm, look back without reincarnation. Although Ningcheng rarely used the 3rd stage of the Age Realm, it wasn't the first time he used it. It was just that every time he used the 3rd stage of the Age Realm, Ningcheng always felt that something was missing. It was precisely because of this that he rarely executed the 3rd stage of the 3 stages of the Flowing Time Realm. Every time, he would only execute the 1st and 2nd stages. He only used the 3rd stage occasionally when he encountered a strong enemy. It was far inferior to his order-breaking finger, but it wasn't as good as he wanted it to be. This time, under the intense aura of death, Ningcheng suddenly brought out the 3rd layer of Flowing Time. As the Dao runes of the endless years circulated, it was as if a window had suddenly opened in his mind. Through this window he saw a new world. The pressure on the octagonal cosmic hammer seemed to have abruptly lessened, and his breathing became much smoother. At this moment, Ningcheng felt as if he was standing on the endless river of time. He looked at the flow of the river of time, and he saw the river of time sweeping away all life and death at its edge. A feeling of joy and sorrow welled up in his heart, causing Ning Cheng to suddenly realize that the passage of time was not only about time. It was not only about life. It was also about the joys and sorrows of separation and reunion. No matter ugly, no matter beautiful, no matter good, no matter evil, in the face of time, everything was illusory. Whether they were strong or weak, they couldn't stop the passage of time. This was because no one under the passage of time could surpass this. He just happened to be standing on the edge of life and death, standing on the horizon between surpassing and being surpassed. Thinking about the passage of heaven and earth, tears flowed down his cheeks. Ning Cheng suddenly felt that he had finally grasped the edge of the third layer of flowing time. The passage of time carried emotions, and the passage of time carried vicissitudes. Perhaps when the passage of time washed away these emotions and vicissitudes, it would allow him to go further. But all of this had nothing to do with samsara. However, Ning Cheng didn't have time to comprehend it at this moment. The Tao of flowing time in his hand flowed like a river, pouring down like the raging waves of the universe. The octagonal cosmic hammer was still the same octagonal cosmic hammer, and the space was still the same space. But everything had become a little different. The octagonal cosmic hammer was surrounded by the Tao runes of flowing time and grew slower and slower. The hammer had only smashed down for a moment, but it had experienced countless modeled years. A kind of Tao rune of life and death lingered in Xian Mao's mind. His will no longer contain the hammer's indomitable will to destroy heaven and earth. Instead, it contained a trace of the fetters of time. No, this person's Tao rune spirit technique was so terrifying. Xian Mao's expression changed. He had experienced the Great Creation War, so how could he not know that his strength spirit technique wasn't invincible? In front of a supreme spirit technique, strength spirit techniques could only be ranked behind. When the endless Tao runes of flowing time arrived, Xian Mao's octagonal cosmic hammer's aura surged violently again. At the same time, Xian Mao spat out a mouthful of blood, and his Tao runes became even more restless. He never thought that a Tao unification holy emperor could push him to this point. Ning Cheng's face turned pale, and his flying body suddenly began to fall. The Tao runes of flowing time also slowly dissipated under the violent power of the cosmic hammer. Ning Cheng knew very well that he couldn't back down at this time. The finger wrapped in the Tao runes of flowing time suddenly bent and pointed again. The Tao runes of flowing time suddenly dissipated, and the laws of space came under the control of this finger. Everything between heaven and earth seemed to shatter under this finger. All the power between heaven and earth also condensed under this finger. This finger swept away all the imposing aura. It was also a finger spirit technique derived from strength spirit techniques, the order-breaking finger. No matter how powerful one's power was, it was still a law. As long as it was a law, the order-breaking finger could break it. The previous hammer strike was too powerful, so Ning Cheng used the Tao runes of flowing time before using the Tao runes of flowing time again. Xian Mao felt the powerful imposing aura of Ning Cheng's finger, and sucked in a breath of cold air. Under this finger, his earth-shattering aura finally came to a halt. At this time, Xian Mao felt even more afraid of Ning Cheng. If Ning Cheng had used this finger as soon as he arrived, he would have been able to smash Ning Cheng's palm with his hammer, and then blast Ning Cheng into pieces. However, Ning Cheng had used the Tao runes of flowing time, which suppressed his imposing aura. Before his new imposing aura could rise, Ning Cheng's finger seemed to have struck the vital point of his charging army. Whether it was imposing aura or laws, sometimes it was just a breath away. Although Ning Cheng's strength wasn't as good as Xian Mao's, Ning Cheng had seized this breath first and dealt him a fatal blow. Ning Cheng's actions were just right for him to strike the middle of the river. Boom. Kacha, the powerful power of the octagonal cosmic hammer still shattered all the aura in front of Ning Cheng's law-breaking finger. Ning Cheng's finger cracked, and his body was blasted away. Although the octagonal cosmic hammer had shrunk infinitely under this finger, the battle stage in the middle of the heavens beyond public square still turned into ruins under the remaining power of the octagonal cosmic hammer. At the same time, Xian Mao was also blasted away by Ning Cheng's law-breaking finger. In the pit of the battle stage that had turned into ruins, Xian Mao's octagonal cosmic hammer lay inside. After Xian Mao stood still, he completely ignored the blood stains all over his body, and continued to stare at Ning Cheng, who was standing opposite to him. After a dozen breaths, he finally spoke up in a cold voice. You are very strong, but today you managed to take advantage of me. I hope that your luck will always be this good. Don't let this lord run into you again. After saying this, Xian Mao raised his hand, and the octagonal cosmic hammer, which had smashed the battle stage into nothingness, flew out of the pit and fell into his hand. Then, his figure flashed and disappeared from the heavens beyond public square. Since Xian Mao's debut, he had never suffered such a big setback from someone with a lower cultivation than him. He had even blasted his own weapon down, let alone touched it. If it weren't for the mysterious yellow heavens beyond public square today, he would have followed up and killed Ning Cheng. However, even though he had blasted Ning Cheng away, he was still injured. If he were to make a move now, not to mention others, even Kong Zai would not sit back and watch. He might even take the opportunity to kill Xian Mao. In that case, he might as well leave early and wait for the next time to take revenge. Ning Cheng did not say a word. He knew that even though it seemed like he had won, he had actually lost. If this had not been the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, Xian Mao would not have let him off. Of course, he was not afraid. Although Xian Mao was strong, he could not kill him. Feeling the bones in his body shatter and the blood qi continuously flow out, Ning Cheng took out a drop of quintessential essence of the universe and swallowed it. At the same time, he sighed in his heart. After today, there was only one drop left of the 18 drops of quintessential essence of the universe. After Xian Mao left, the entire heavens beyond public square was silent. No one spoke. Kong Zai came to Ning Cheng's side immediately. He looked at Ning Cheng's slightly gray sideburns, which had been caused by burning his blood essence, and said with a sigh, I didn't expect you to actually blast Xian Mao away. Ning Cheng, who was gradually recovering, shook his head. I'm not his match, and the gap is huge. He lost because he looked down on me too much and thought that strength could destroy everything. I happen to have seen a branch of strength divine power. Kong Zai nodded. Strength can indeed destroy everything, but his strength is not enough. At that moment, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze flew out and looked at Ning Cheng gratefully. At the same time, he waved his hand and the huge ravine created by the octagonal cosmic hammer instantly healed. However, he did not build a new competition platform. Instead, he stood in the void and said loudly, the 5th round of the fight has ended. The first place is Ning Cheng of Grand Simplicity, the second place is itinerant cultivator Xian Mao, and the third place is itinerant cultivator Kong Zai. At that moment, the people on the heavens beyond public square snapped out of their shock. Xian Mao's strength was too terrifying. The fact that Ning Cheng could withstand such a powerful bombardment was even more shocking. It was not certain who would win the fight between Xian Mao and Ning Cheng. Many people could even see that Ning Cheng was at a disadvantage. Xian Mao had the strength to continue killing Ning Cheng, but Ning Cheng did not have the strength to continue killing Xian Mao. However, now that Xian Mao had escaped, Ning Cheng was naturally the first place. Only Kong Zai did not see it this way. He believed that Ning Cheng had won. In terms of the fight, Ning Cheng could not compare to Xian Mao. However, Ning Cheng had taken a drop of what seemed to be the quintessential essence of the universe. If it was really the quintessential essence of the universe, Ning Cheng would have the strength to fight again. After the noise on the public square subsided a little, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze said, the division competition of the heavens beyond realm has ended and the top 10 have been decided. Now the Heaven Lord of the heavens beyond, Taoist Feng Huangmei, will announce the top 10. Feng Huangmei walked in front of Ning Cheng and said, thank you, Brother Ning. Ning Cheng knew what Feng Huangmei meant. If Ning Cheng had not blocked Xian Mao's last 2 hammer strikes, he was afraid that this competition would have been a tragedy. Ning Cheng smiled. Heaven Lord Feng, feel free to announce it. From today onward, Heavens Beyond will no longer be a place that anyone can jump in. After this competition, everyone knew that the ones who could really gain a foothold in Heavens Beyond were the large plane realms. Once these people stayed in Heavens Beyond for a long time, even Xingxi would have to take it into consideration. Chapter 1364. Wait. Dao Lord Mountain Gaze came over in time and stopped Feng Huangmei. When Feng Huangmei stopped, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze looked at Ning Cheng and asked, Taoist Ning, Xingxi and Xianmao have scores, but they are not here. Should we divide the realm for them or not? Ningqing hesitated for a while before saying, Taoist mountain gaze, as far as I know, Xianmao should not come to heavens beyond again. As for Xingxi, she has a huge feud with heavens beyond. If Xingxi dares to go to the beyond of heaven and earth, just push the blame to me. In Ningqing's opinion, he and Xingxi would always be enemies. Instead of dealing with this woman, he might as well fight. Dao Lord Mountain Gaze deeply agreed with Ningqing's words. Xingxi was too rude and domineering. She directly tore apart the realm protection of heavens beyond. However, without Ningqing's words, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze would not dare to ignore Xingxi. After receiving Ningqing's promise, Dao Lord Mountain Gaze and Feng Huangmei returned to discuss with the other judges for a while before Feng Huangmei walked out. Feng Huangmei came to the middle of the square and stood in the void, exuding a strong sense of confidence. If it had not been for Ningqing, it would not have been Feng Huangmei's turn to announce the final ranking. Generally speaking, the person who announced the final ranking was the person with the highest prestige. This meant that after the realms of heavens beyond were divided, Feng Huangmei might still be the Heaven Lord of Heavens Beyond. Feng Huangmei's strength was not the highest, but he had the highest foresight. He had befriended experts like Ningqing and the sacred Dao sect master at the same time, who would dare to question him in heavens beyond. After everyone had settled down, Feng Huangmei said in a clear voice, "This time, the boundary division competition of the heavens beyond of heaven and earth has ended." After the discussion of the judges, the results are as follows. At that moment, the square was silent. Everyone was waiting for Feng Huangmei to announce the results. Although everyone knew the results of the competition, they did not know how many of the people who had obtained the rankings had combined their scores. This was because only the judges and the people who had taken the initiative to combine their scores knew. Feng Huangmei felt very satisfied with the silence, and even raised his voice. First place, Grand Essence Realms Ningqing, 370 points in total. Ningqing was slightly surprised. Even if he was the first in the last round of the duels, he would only have 200 points, so how could he have 370 points? Not only did Ningqing not understand, even the rest of the people did not understand. However, even if Ningqing obtained this score, no one would be able to point out the meaning behind it. First, Feng Huangmei would definitely explain it to him. Second, the final score was a combination of everyone's scores, and no one would know that those scores had been combined. Sure enough, Feng Huangmei continued, the points for the first place are the combined scores of Grand Essence Realms Ningqing, Rogue Cultivator Dao Lord Burning Talisman, Guangyuan Gong Nianyan, and Rogue Cultivator Kong Zai. Ningqing looked at Dao Lord Burning Talisman not far away in confusion. Forget about Kong Zai and Nianyan. The two of them had a good relationship with him, so it was reasonable for them to give him the points. However, Dao Lord Talisman didn't have much of a relationship with him, and he hadn't agreed to Talisman's request to join forces with him. What's more, with the points from the Burning Talismans, he could easily get third place. Burning Talisman faintly smiled. Fellow Daoist Ning, the truth is that I'm not very satisfied with the other realms. I only have 100 points, and since I can't get a satisfactory realm, I might as well join you and get a piece of land in your place. You won't mind, right? Burning Talisman's strength was probably no lower than Kong Zai's. Since such a person took the initiative to befriend him, Ningqing naturally wouldn't refuse. He couldn't even use up 1/10 of the realm for the first place in heavens beyond. Giving a piece to Burning Talisman wouldn't affect him at all. Since Daoist Bone can join forces with me, I'd welcome you with open arms. Why would I refuse? Welcome, welcome, Ningqing quickly said with cupped fists. Burning Talisman nodded, and sent a voice transmission to Ningqing. Daoist Ning, let's talk in detail after we're done here. Ningqing knew what Burning Talisman wanted to talk about in detail. It was naturally better to have a helper like Burning Talisman. However, it depended on whether Burning Talisman wanted to help him or step on him. Regardless of which it was, he would not continue to stay in the beyond of heaven and earth after the division of realms. The sacred Dao sect master, Yi Mo, was much more powerful than him, and was eager to go out and find a way to the third step. He was only at the early stage Dao integration realm, and was far inferior to those experts. Even if he could barely talk to those experts, he would have to use all his strength every time, which Ningqing didn't want to see. Nianyan also said with a smile, I hope to win a piece of land with my own ability, but I know I can't keep my land. Plus, I have too few points. Even if I get a realm, it will be the worst. I might as well find a good place here, Big Brother Ning. Okay, it's better if we join forces in this area, Ningqing immediately said. Both Kong Zai and Burning Talisman were top-notch experts. Even though Nianyan was slightly weaker, her alchemy Dao and array Dao were very powerful. The beyond of heaven and earth was temporarily divided into regions. As for what battles would happen in the future, nobody knew. Who could be sure that all the experts would come for this realm division competition? If some experts didn't come, there would definitely be a big battle. That way, it would only be good for the alliance to be stronger. When Ningqing finished talking to everyone and looked at him, Feng Huangmei nodded and said second, Divine Dao Realms EMO, 320 points in total. Everyone was confused again. Ningqing had 370 points because of Burning Talisman and Nianyan and them. Then Yemo left before the second battle ended. He would at most get 200 points. Where did the 320 points come from? Feng Huangmei signaled everyone to be quiet before saying, the second place is from the Divine Dao Realms EMO, 7 God Palace Missouri Zhou, and Liaogung Dao Masters combined points. Ningqing frowned. He could understand why Liaogung gave the points to Yemo. After all, Yemo's power was 200 points when he left. Liaogung only had 20 points. If he gave the points to Yemo, he might get a good place. At the same time, he could connect with Yemo. To put it simply, it was similar to what Nianyan did. Emo Zhou was almost killed by him. As soon as he left the tower, he probably ran. How could he give the points to Divine Dao Realm? Plus, what did he mean by giving the points to Divine Dao Realm? Thinking about this, Ningqing sound transmissioned. Heaven Lord Feng, didn't Emo Zhou leave as soon as he came out? How could he have the chance to give the points to Divine Dao Realm? Feng Huangmei sound transmissioned, I don't know. As soon as Emo Zhou came out of the tower, he found us and said to give the points to Divine Dao Realm. I know why he did this. Nianyan said. Emo Zhou and Ningqing had a conversation outside the tower. Nianyan saw it clearly. With her intelligence, she guessed that Emo Zhou coming out heavily injured might be related to Ningqing. Ningqing nodded, I know too. This person's scheme runs too deep. Emo Zhou only had 2 plans for giving the points to Divine Dao Realm Yemo. First, Yemo already got 200 points. As long as he gave this 100 points to Yemo, he believed Yemo would be first for sure. If Yemo was first, he could not only suppress Ningqing, but also get one of the best 2 realms in heaven beyond heaven. Even if he were to leave now, he would still have a share of the domain allocated to him. When he returned in the future, whether for public or private reasons, he had a reason to occupy a place in this domain. This would give him an excuse to come back and fight for land. However, no one from Divine Dao sect other than Yemo was here. If someone was here, they could choose not to accept it. Ningqing sneered. Emo Zhou's thoughts were good, but he didn't understand Yemo. He was really blind to think Yemo was easy to bully. He was certain that when Emo Zhou came back to take land, he would be taught a lesson by Yemo. If this Emo Zhou wants to use such means to rob our Divine Dao Realm's land, he's really blind. Ningqing's words were spoken by a woman. She had delicate features and was standing next to Yemo, who had seen Ningqing before. Clearly, she could tell what Emo Zhou was thinking. Third, 9 Heaven Realm I Qianling, 50 points. Fourth, Du Rang Realm Jiamiyu, also 50 points. Ningqing didn't feel strange that Feng Huangmei announced the same points as the 4th and 3rd. What place was the 9 Heavens Realm? It was ranked 3rd in the outer realm of heaven beyond heaven, just below Heaven Gate Realm and 3 Essence Realm. For a small realm like Du Rang Realm, no one felt strange that it was ranked last even if it had the same points. Even the people of Du Rang Realm didn't feel wronged. They were actually very excited. What they needed to do now wasn't to fight for 3rd and 4th, but to keep this realm they got from heaven beyond heaven. Ningqing sighed. He didn't have the ability to say anything about this. Feng Huangmei felt it was natural and continued to announce. 5th 3 Essence Realm Qingshui, 20 points. 6th, 7 Aqua Realm Zhuofeng, 20 points. 7th Shouyi Realm Tianyihe, 20 points. This realm division battle has determined the top 7. Because a few people left, the points are invalid. The 5th, 6th, and 7th places were also divided according to the strength of the realm. Following Feng Huangmei's announcement, the people of the Heaven Gate realm were a little sad. The Heaven Gate realm was considered one of the big realms around heaven beyond heaven, but it didn't even get a place. Apart from the Heaven Gate realm, the innocuous realm didn't get any place. Feng Huangmei, who didn't care about this, continued. The realm of heaven beyond heaven is divided into a total of 10 areas. One of them is a public area, and the heaven beyond we are in belongs to the public area. There are 2 first-class realms, one for the Great Simplicity realm, and the other for the Sacred Tao realm. There are 3 second-class realms, which are divided into the 9 Heavens realm, Durang realm, and 3 Essence realm. There are 4 third-class realms, 2 of which are divided into the 7 Aqua realm, and the Shouyi realm. The last 2 are the income areas of heaven beyond heaven, rented out by heaven beyond heaven. The obtained resources will be used to build the defense array and defense power of heaven beyond heaven. Chapter 1365. After Heavens Beyond had been redivided, it had become more prosperous and lively instead of desolation. Even though only a few major forces occupied the realm, almost all the major chambers of commerce and sects in the various dimensions had set up commercial buildings or bases in the beyond of heaven and earth. Even those relatively remote realms could not withstand these people's rush to rent, let alone Ning City, a realm that occupied the best location in Heavens Beyond. Heavens Beyond was open to all major realms, and anyone could enter any plane through Heavens Beyond, which increased the prosperity of Heavens Beyond. The Heavens Beyond was one of the largest plane realms around Heavens Beyond, but the Heavens Beyond had gained nothing in this competition. Given the status of the Heavens Beyond, they naturally could not rent the worst area. Mountain Gaze Dao Lord was familiar with Ning City, so he naturally found Ning City. Ning City had to give him face. His realm was too big and there were too many people renting it, so Ning City simply handed it over to Shilin. Shilin was the manager of the Myriad Realm Auction, but after the redivision of Heavens Beyond, the Myriad Realm Auction no longer existed. Coupled with the news of Ku Yuxing's possible death, Shilin simply brought a group of people to Ning City's Black-Yellow Chamber of Commerce. With so many forces and experts pouring into Heavens Beyond, no one dared to cause trouble in Heavens Beyond except for experts like Xing Shi. Moreover, the Heaven Lord of Heavens Beyond was still Feng Huangmei, who had a good relationship with Ning City and Yemo. Who would dare to offend this Heaven Lord? Therefore, after the redivision of Heavens Beyond, Ning City handed the matter over to Shilin and the others. He became idle. If Shilin could not handle it, it would be fine as long as the old fart or Ao King came forward. There was no need for him to speak at all. Nianyan also began to study the array Dao in seclusion because Ning City had said that he was going to set up a plane teleportation array. He would need her help when the time came to set up the teleportation array from Heavens Beyond to the Great Simplicity realm. She felt that her array Dao and cultivation level were not enough, so she stayed in Heavens Beyond to cultivate in seclusion. Ning City decided to leave Heavens Beyond. In addition to returning to the Great Simplicity realm, he also had to help Lu Dongsa find the body-shaping treasure. He also had to find the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. Ning Cheng took out the communications pearl and was just about to send a message to Kong Zai when someone touched the restriction at the door. The reason why he sent a message to Kong Zai was that Ning Cheng intended to invite Kong Zai out with him. At the same time, he also wanted to help Kong Zai get back the Tai Chi Human King art. At the same time, he also wanted to ask Kong Zai to help him look for Earth Dao Monarch Shen Yun in the Grand Essence realm. He had never interacted with Shen Yun before, so he naturally did not know about this. However, the relationship between the 5 great Dao monarchs of the 5 great realms wasn't shallow. If Shen Yun really was in the Grand Essence realm, Kong Zai might have sensed something. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already seen Dao Lord Burning Talisman standing at the door. In fact, even if Dao Lord Burning Talisman gave him the points, it wouldn't affect him much. It could even be said that he had helped Dao Lord Burning Talisman, not the other way around. This time, Heavens Beyond was divided into realms. The first and second realms were both first-class realms, so there was not much difference. Even if Burning Talisman did not give him the points, he would at least be in second place. However, Dao Lord Burning Talisman was an expert in the Dao of Talismans. Other than Fu Lai, whom he had never seen before, Dao Lord Burning Talisman was the strongest in the Dao of Talismans. Since such a person had taken the initiative to befriend him, Ningqing naturally would not ignore him. Besides, his realm was large to begin with. Giving a piece to Burning Talisman would not affect him at all. Dao friend Ning, I hope I didn't disturb you. After Ningqing opened the restriction, Dao Lord Burning Talisman politely greeted him with cupped fists. Ningqing also politely invited Dao Lord Burning Talisman in. Dao friend Bone, you're too polite. We're considered allies now. How could you disturb me? Dao Lord Burning Talisman listened to Ning Cheng's words with a satisfied expression. He sat down and said, Brother Ning, you can call me Burning Talisman. Seeing Ning Cheng nod, Burning Talisman continued. Brother Ning should have guessed why I came here to look for you. Yes, it's about the second creation war. If I'm not wrong, Brother Ning also has a top-notch cultivation technique, and even a creation treasure. Ningqing was not surprised that Burning Talisman could guess some things. Ningqing was already prepared for these old things. Even if he did not admit it, these old guys had a sixth sense. Ningqing neither admitted nor denied it. He still said with a smile, Brother Burning Talisman, you've seen the first creation war. I'm just a junior. It's really frightening that Brother Burning Talisman thinks so highly of me. Burning Talisman said with a straight face, No, we cultivate the Tao first. If we rely on age, it's not only unfair but also meaningless. Everyone can't report their lifespan when the gate of creation opens, right? Besides, how many people who can stand in front of the gate of creation are not reincarnations of experts? Ningqing suddenly thought of his own matters. He had many questions. However, Burning Talisman did not have a good relationship with him. Even if he wanted to ask these questions, he could not ask Burning Talisman. Burning Talisman did not know what Ningqing was thinking and said, Brother Ning, I didn't mean to scare you. Given your strength in heavens beyond, you're indeed an expert among experts. Even if Xian Mao wanted to kill you, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to. However, I know that your relationship with Xingxi is terrible, and she has a strong desire to kill you. If you don't care, you'll die in her hands one day. Ningqing knew what Burning Talisman meant, which was to form an alliance with him. He could form an alliance with Burning Talisman, but he did not necessarily have to join forces with Burning Talisman in the creation war. Burning Talisman was different from Kong Zai. Kong Zai was a magnanimous person, but Burning Talisman was much more sinister. Moreover, Burning Talisman's sinister nature might not even be detected by others. Burning Talisman seemed to be competing with Fu Lai for the #1 Talisman Dao expert, so he had some temperament. In fact, Ningqing vaguely felt that this was not the case. Upon seeing Ningqing remain silent, Burning Talisman said again, If I told you that Xingxi could kill Xian Mao as easily as breathing, would you believe me? Ningqing knew that Xingxi could kill Xian Mao, but Burning Talisman said that it was as easy as breathing. He really had some doubts. You don't have to doubt it. Xingxi's current strength is infinitely close to the time when Sacred Lord Green Lotus was at the creation realm. When I was still an ant, I saw Sacred Lord Green Lotus take the initiative to attack once from afar. That power can only be described as looking down on all living beings. Burning Talisman said with shock in his eyes. Brother Burning Talisman, do you know the relationship between Xingxi and Sacred Lord Green Lotus? Ningqing quickly asked when he heard Sacred Lord Green Lotus. Burning Talisman regained his composure and said faintly, I don't know. What you should be concerned about now is what will happen to you once Xingxi returns. I have a place that can help you reach the third step. After you reach the third step, you will return here, and my strength will improve further. How about we discuss joining forces in the creation war then? Ningqing knew that Burning Talisman would never be so kind as to find a way to help him reach the third step. However, he could not hear any malice from Burning Talisman. Burning Talisman seemed to know that Ningqing did not believe him, so he took out an ancient jade talisman and handed it to Ningqing before saying, "There is a dark void canyon between the Jiaoliang realm and the Chaos realm. This dark void canyon is called the Chaos Dark Void Canyon. As long as you find this dark void canyon and crush this jade talisman, you can teleport to the Chaos realm. With your strength, reaching the third step in the Chaos realm is not a problem." Seeing Ningqing look at him in doubt, Burning Talisman looked slightly embarrassed. "Don't ask me where this dark void canyon is. I don't know either. The reason why my third step is not that powerful is that I haven't found this dark void canyon. If I had found it, I would not have given you this jade talisman. So, you want me to help you find this Chaos Dark Void Canyon?" Ningqing said with a sneer. "Maybe I want to find the Dark Void Canyon, but I didn't lie to you when I told you that you can reach the third step in the Chaos realm. I just hope that after you reach the third step, you will remember my recommendation. Then we can talk about joining forces in the creation war." Burning Talisman stood up and said. Ningqing saw a hint of embarrassment in the corner of Burning Talisman's eyes, and felt that his guess was right. "Brother Ning, I will take my leave first. If Brother Ning needs anything, you can find me at any time. I have been staying in the heavens beyond of heaven and earth." After Burning Talisman finished speaking, he cupped his fists towards Ningqing and turned to leave. Ningqing looked at the jade talisman in his hand repeatedly. This jade talisman looked ancient and vicissitudes of life, almost comparable to the fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe he had obtained. Given the vicissitudes of life and the simplicity of this jade talisman, it shouldn't be something that Burning Talisman had refined himself. After looking at it for a long time, Ningqing still couldn't find any clues. Ningqing forcibly penetrated the jade talisman with his spiritual consciousness. However, as soon as his spiritual consciousness touched the jade talisman, it was blocked. Ningqing didn't care whether the jade talisman would be damaged or not. Instead, his spiritual consciousness blasted in. He caught a vast and magnificent chaotic Dao charm aura. At that moment, Ningqing felt like he was in a realm where the Chaos realm had just opened. This realm had an endless and vast heaven and earth aura, and endless Dao rhymes were constantly circulating around it. A powerful pressure blasted into Ningqing's sea of consciousness. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness could no longer stay and instantly withdrew. The moment his spiritual consciousness withdrew, Ningqing felt a trace of Burning Talisman's aura. Ningqing's mouth showed a hint of a smile. Burning Talisman really wanted him to help him find the Chaos realm. Burning Talisman should have guessed that he had a good fortune treasure on him. It should be easier to find the Chaos realm with a good fortune treasure. If this was the case, Ningqing felt relieved. It was just helping Burning Talisman find a place. Moreover, from the jade talisman, Ningqing could tell that the Chaos realm would indeed bring him great benefits. No, Ningqing thought of an old monster like Burning Talisman. How could he not know that Burning Talisman had a method to enter the jade talisman with his spiritual consciousness explosion? Did he then pry into the trace of spiritual consciousness he left behind? If Burning Talisman thought of this and let him misunderstand, it meant that Burning Talisman didn't just give him the jade talisman to help him find the Chaos realm. While Ningqing was still hesitating, the restriction at the door fluctuated again. Ningqing knew that Kongzai had come. He stood up and decided to go with Kongzai to Taisha first. He could also ask Kongzai about the Chaos realm's third step Dao confirming realm. Chapter 1366. Brother Ning, are we leaving? Kongzai and Ningqing were already very familiar with each other. He also knew that Ningqing had invited him here, because he was probably preparing to leave the beyond of heaven and earth. Therefore, he asked directly as soon as he entered. Ningqing nodded and spoke. Yes, we will leave immediately. By the way, I have another question to ask you. Do you know about the Chaos realm? Kongzai smiled slightly and replied without any surprise. Burning Talisman must have told you this. People at our level all know about the Chaos realm. However, it's very difficult to find the Chaos realm. Even if you find it, it's very difficult to enter the third step of Tao validation. Burning Talisman indeed told me about it. But why is it so difficult to reach Tao confirming realm even after finding it? Ningqing felt puzzled. Kong Zai explained patiently. There are 3 difficulties in entering the chaos realm. The first difficulty is that it's very difficult to find the chaos realm. The second difficulty is that even if we find the edge of the chaos realm, we still need the chaos jade talisman. Ningqing's heart moved. Was the ancient jade talisman that burning talisman gave him the chaos jade talisman? Kong Zai continued. The third difficulty is that if you are not careful in the chaos realm, you will be torn apart by the Tao runes. Even if one was able to block those Tao rhymes, it was still possible for one to turn into a lunatic. There were very few who could reach the third step of Tao validation. Of course, every divine emperor who proved his Tao in the chaos realm is a peerless powerhouse. Brother Kong, what kind of place is the chaos realm? Ningqing asked again. Kong Zai said with yearning. I heard that at the beginning of the universe, when the primordial chaos was just divided, the laws of heaven and earth were in a mess. However, the heavenly Tao was natural. After the baptism of time, the messy heavenly Tao laws gradually formed a clear hierarchy. The chaos realm is a realm that was formed when the universe first separated. Because there are too many chaotic laws in this realm, the various auras are too modeled, and it is impossible to distinguish the levels. In the end, it condensed into a realm. Then, if the chaos realm still has the Tao charm of the chaos laws, doesn't it mean that even if we enter the chaos realm now, it would be almost the same as facing the boundary where the primal chaos first separated? Ningqing asked in amazement. Kong Zai nodded and said, that's right. Even though there is a slim chance of survival in the chaos realm, many people still want to find this place and enter. Do you know who the experts in the first creation war were? Almost all of those sovereigns had come into contact with the aura of the great Tao of primal chaos when the universe first separated. It was precisely because of this that they were incomparably powerful. It was just that when the universe was first formed, the laws of the great Tao were not complete, and cultivation required twice the effort for half the result. Now, even though there was no aura of the great path of chaos, the great path rules were very complete, and the concept of cultivation had been developed to the extreme. Even without the aura of the great Tao of chaos, there were still many experts. This is also why the possessors of treasures of fortune are so powerful. It's because the possessors of treasures of fortune can sense some primal chaos aura. Ningqing understood what Kong Zai meant. Although the chaos realm had a slim chance of survival, it contained the aura of the primal chaos grand Tao. If one could enter the chaos realm to gain enlightenment and reach the third step, one would naturally be an expert among experts. At this point, Kong Zai smiled again. The chaos realm is very difficult to find. Only those with creation treasures have the opportunity to come into contact with it. Even if he wanted to come into contact with them, he would have to go to the dark void. In the vast universe, there were billions of dark voids. Who could search for them one by one? Of course, if you possess a creation treasure, you might be able to sense the aura of the chaos realm's great Tao of primal chaos even more. Kong Zai stopped here. He suddenly understood why Burning Talisman told Ningqing about the chaos realm. Burning Talisman suspected that Ningqing had a creation treasure. Ningqing had just advanced to the Tao integration realm. Yet he was already so powerful. It was normal for him to have a creation treasure. Ningqing finally understood why Burning Talisman had desperately tried to get close to him. Burning Talisman definitely didn't just want to join forces with him to find the chaos realm. There had to be other reasons. Ningqing suddenly thought of the sacred Tao sect's sect master, Yemo, and Xingxi. Both of them had creation treasures. They had chased him all the way and had gone to many places. Perhaps they had already come into contact with the chaos realm. In the previous competition, the two of them had left at the same time. It was also possible that they were competing to go to the chaos realm first. Brother Kong, apart from the chaos jade talisman, is there any other way to enter the chaos realm? Ningqing quickly asked, thinking that Yemo and Xingxi might have gone to the chaos realm first. Kong Zai thought about it for a while before shaking his head and saying, the chaos jade talisman was also formed when the universe first separated. Perhaps other objects formed when the universe first separated also have a way to enter. This is just my speculation. Then what about the law world? For example, time law world, space law world. Ning Cheng had a premonition thinking about the time law world Yemo created outside Earth. Yemo and She probably found a way to enter the chaos realm because of that exam question. Then, Yemo went to find the time law world while She probably went to find another way to enter. Kongzai nodded. The law world is indeed something formed when the universe first separated, but I haven't been to the border of the chaos realm, so I'm not sure. Ningcheng suddenly had an urgent thought. He wanted to go back to Earth to take a look. Yemo didn't leave for long. If he could make it in time, he could catch up to Yemo and go to the chaos realm with Yemo. Since it was an opportunity, it wasn't for everyone. If he fell behind, he might never have the chance to vindicate third step in the chaos realm. Even if he reached creation state, he would be a far cry from Yemo and Xingxi. Ningcheng didn't want to go from being on the same level to being a level weaker. With his current power, he couldn't just tear open the void and go back to Earth. He could only go back to the four great cosmos first, and then go back to Yixing continent, and then find a way back. Great beginning realm. Ever since Zhu Qinyi had dealt with Lu Dongsa, the Society Master of Elixir Association, and Lord of Dao Tai Su had come here to fight with Zhu Qinyi, no one else had come here, nor had anyone come out. This was because this realm was sealed. If it wasn't for the person who sealed the realm opening it, outsiders would have to force their way in. Or perhaps a peerless almighty would tear apart this domain seal. Naturally, no one in the five great realms dared to break the realm seal of the great beginning realm. Similarly, no powerful being could tear open the realm seal. Even Kongzai, who was standing outside the realm seal of the primordial beginning realm, sighed and said, Brother Ning was able to escape from here back then. It was already very impressive. Although Zhu Qinyi lost 90% of his power, his control of the great beginning realm hasn't weakened at all. No wonder he wants the five soil. He wants to repair the great beginning realm. Even Kongzai couldn't open the realm seal. Ningcheng chuckled. I was lucky to escape before he completely sealed it. If I had been a little bit slower, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to stand here today. Apart from blasting this realm seal, I really can't help you with my current ability. Kongzai stared at the powerful realm seal in front of him and spoke with some frustration. Ningcheng grabbed a handful of array flags and said, Brother Kong, rest assured. You just need to help me keep an eye on it, and don't let Zhu Qinyi slip away. After saying that, Ningcheng kept throwing out array flags. On the side, Kongzai looked on in amazement at the originally flawless domain sealing restriction. But under Ningcheng's array flags, it clearly became clearer. He knew that Ningcheng was proficient in the array Dao, but he didn't expect Ningcheng's array Dao to be this powerful. With such a powerful array Dao level in the competition, Missouri Zhou wouldn't even have a chance at first place. After the restriction array appeared, Ningcheng suddenly pointed out with a finger. Since he wasn't dealing with a strong enemy, Ningcheng didn't need to go all out to use his order-breaking finger. Boom! A dull shattering sound rang out. Ningcheng took a step forward and raised his hand to grab it. Ningcheng tore open a gap that was dozens of feet long, and the clear appearance of the primordial realm appeared between Ningcheng and Kongzai's spiritual consciousness. I'll go in first. You stay here and prevent Zhu Qinyi from escaping. After Ningcheng said that, he stepped into the primordial realm first. Ningcheng knew that Zhu Qinyi's escape method was very powerful. Sure enough, as soon as Ningcheng landed on the primordial realm's realm, Zhu Qinyi's powerful aura rushed over. To Ningcheng's relief, Zhu Qinyi didn't escape, but stood in front of him. Even Ningcheng was secretly shocked by the speed at which Zhu Qinyi's strength soared. How long had it been? Zhu Qinyi was already at the late-stage Dao integration realm. Ningcheng, what enmity do I have with you? I sealed my realm, but you still forced it open. You're going too far. Zhu Qinyi scolded sternly. He was also secretly shocked. When Ningcheng had first come here, he had only been at the late-stage primordial chaos. This time, he was actually at the early-stage Dao integration realm. He had only reached the late-stage Dao integration realm when he had recovered his strength in his own realm. Was Ningcheng also recovering his strength? No, that was definitely not the case. It was precisely because Ning Cheng's strength had risen so terrifyingly, and he had forcibly torn open his realm seal that he didn't dare to act rashly. Otherwise, he would have attacked Ning Cheng as soon as he appeared. Although his current strength was several times stronger than it had been in the past, Ning Cheng had advanced from primordial chaos to Dao integration, so his strength was probably several times stronger. He hadn't been Ning Cheng's match back then, and he still wasn't Ning Cheng's match now. Ning Cheng's aura locked onto Zhu Qinyi and he said calmly, "I told you that I won't let you off since you took away my stationary soil. Today, I'm here to ask for something from you. Dream on." Even though he knew that he wasn't Ning Cheng's match, Zhu Qinyi wasn't willing to hand over stationary soil to Ning Cheng. There was a limited amount of chaotic 5 soil. Even though he had obtained a piece of stationary soil, it didn't mean that he could get a second piece. This was related to his reunification of the realm. How could he hand it over to Ning Cheng? "Where's your book?" Ning Cheng asked, seemingly surprised. Zhu Qinyi snorted. With a wave of his hand, an ancient book filled with the aura of an emperor appeared above Zhu Qinyi's head. 5 golden characters floated above the ancient book. Tai Chi Human King Technique. As you wish. Zhu Qinyi was ready to escape. Even if he couldn't beat Ning Cheng in his territory, Ning Cheng wouldn't be able to keep him if he wanted to leave. "Zhu Qinyi, what did I do to you? You plotted against me for a book. You." Kong Zai's figure landed, his angry and somewhat disappointed voice echoing. Chapter 1367. It's you? Kong Zai. Zhu Qinyi was immediately stunned. He thought that Kong Zai's soul had been destroyed and he had long since died. Even if Kong Zai didn't perish and reincarnate, it was impossible for him to cultivate to the point where his strength surpassed him so quickly, right? "Yes, it's me, Kong Zai. Zhu Qinyi, I, Kong Zai, have never let you down. Not to mention you, I, Kong Zai, have never plotted against my friends behind their backs. Why did you do this?" Kong Zai looked extremely disappointed. Zhu Qinyi finally reacted. He gave a sigh, and without any hesitation he threw the Tai Chi Human King art in his hands to Kong Zai, and then took out a jade box and threw it to Ning Cheng. "I'll give it to you. If you want to kill, then go ahead." Ning Cheng grabbed the jade box and swept out with his spiritual consciousness, confirming that the jade box indeed contained the stabilizing soil. He was also quite confused. Zhu Qinyi truly felt ashamed, and that was why he took the initiative to return the item, and then wait for death. No, Ning Cheng quickly understood. He had fought with Zhu Qinyi before, long knowing that Zhu Qinyi was vicious and merciless, that he definitely wouldn't hand over something out of shame. The reason he handed over the item was because he knew that he had no chance of escaping in front of him and Kong Zai, so he might as well be more straightforward. Kong Zai grasped the Taiji Human King incantation that he had lost for who knew how many years, and had once again returned to his hands, filled with emotion. When he was plotted against and robbed of the Tai Chi Human King art, he didn't even know who dared to do it. Unexpectedly, it was Zhu Qinyi. "You have the remote beginning eternal heaven art, so why did you plot against me and seize my ultimate Human King art?" Kong Zai didn't attack Zhu Qinyi, instead asking with a serious voice. Zhu Qinyi said with a desolate expression, "Because I was plotted against by Shaowen. The primordial beginning eternal heaven technique was snatched away by him. I saw that you were heavily injured, so I had evil intentions. So if you want to kill me now, I have no objections." "Impossible," Kong Zai said without hesitation. "Big Brother Shaowen has an extraordinary bearing and is compatible with the world. How could he plot against you and snatch the remote beginning eternal heaven technique?" Zhu Qinyi frowned slightly and said, "He plotted against me, believe it or not, it's up to you." Ning Cheng did not speak. The remote beginning eternal heavenly technique was on him, and the origin of this cultivation method was indeed related to Shaowen. He didn't know if Shaowen had plotted against Zhu Qinyi, nor did he want to know. As for returning the remote beginning eternal heaven technique to Zhu Qinyi, Ning Cheng had never thought about it. If it was something that belonged to Kong Zai, he might have returned it. He did not have a good impression of Zhu Qinyi. "Fellow Taoist Ning, let's go. In any case, we are brothers, I don't want to kill him." Kong Zai did not continue to pursue this matter, but looked at Ning Cheng. Obviously, He wanted Ning Cheng to let Zhu Qinyi off this time. The primal beginning world was Zhu Qinyi's territory. Since he didn't want to kill Zhu Qinyi, he could only leave. As for killing Zhu Qinyi or not, Ning Cheng did not care much about it. If Kong Zai wanted revenge, he would support him. If Kong Zai was not willing to take revenge, he would not say anything. Ning Cheng and Kong Zai walked out of the primordial world, and Kong Zai remained silent. Ning Cheng didn't know how to comfort Kong Zai. Back then, the 5 Dao monarchs of the 5 grand realms were quite close. After leaving the primal beginning realm, Kong Zai took the initiative to say, "Brother Ning, although the 5 of us competed back then, we were like brothers." They even participated in the creation war together. It was also because of the creation war that the 5 of us died. Xiaowen has always been our big brother. He is generous and forthright, and he is also the strongest. I really find it hard to believe that he would plot against Zhu Qinyi and snatch the primordial heavenly technique. But my intuition tells me that Zhu Qinyi did not lie. Ning Cheng patted Kong Zai on the shoulder and decided not to hide it from Kong Zai. "Brother Kong, I once went to the Jiaoliang Sea. I saw Xiaowen's remains in the Jiaoliang Sea. Of course, I don't know if the person who died was Xiaowen or not." Dao Monarch Formless died in the Jiaoliang Sea? Kong Zai's expression suddenly turned gloomy when he heard this. He then murmured, "Yes, he and Dao Monarch Formless' second son, Nie Xiao, were good friends." Ning Cheng continued, "Nie Xiao indeed died there. Dao Monarch Formless should have been seriously injured by the good fortune Indestructible Axe's Axe-Line Dao Charm. At that time, he couldn't expel the Dao Charm aura and finally died in the North Duke Mansion." "Did you see anything there?" Kong Zai asked worriedly. But he only asked half of the sentence and didn't continue. Ning Cheng knew what Kong Zai wanted to ask and simply said, "I did see the remote beginning eternal heaven technique. I have this cultivation method with me now." Kong Zai remained silent for a long time before giving out a long sigh. "Back then, the 5 of us found the 5 grand realms. After opening them, we snatched 5 groups of innate Dao Charm golden lights. Among them, Dao Monarch Formless Xiaowen obtained the Devil Scroll and the Dao Scroll. Dao Monarch Changtian Zhu Qinyi obtained the Heaven Scroll and the Dao Scroll. Dao Monarch Supreme Unity Bei Yingshu obtained the Immortal Scroll and the Buddha Scroll. Dao Monarch Grand Beginning, Dao Monarch Earth Shenyun obtained the Earth Scroll and the Dao Monarch Grand Simplicity. I obtained the Human Scroll and the Dao Monarch Grand Ultimate. At that time, the 5 of us roamed the vast void and talked about the endless years." At this point, Kong Zai paused for a long time before giving out another long sigh. "At that time, the 5 of us worked together with great ambitions, and even named the 5 grand realms good fortune. Unfortunately, things have changed. No matter how high we cultivate, no matter how long we live, we still can't see through it. The human heart." When Ning Cheng heard Kong Zai's words, he swallowed the words to ask Kong Zai to help him check if Shenyun was in the Dao Monarch Grand Simplicity. Whether Shenyun was there or not, he was Kong Zai's friend. Inviting Kong Zai to deal with Shenyun now would be a bit unreasonable. It was just like a new friend inviting him to deal with Tai Shu Shi. How could he do such a thing? Kong Zai obviously saw Ning Cheng's embarrassment, and the nostalgic look on his face had long since dissipated. He spoke with a calm tone. "Don't you have a Dao Court in the Grand Essence Realm and a Grand Essence Mountain? When you repair the Grand Essence Realm, I will leave. If you have something to do, you can go ahead and do it. With me in the Grand Essence Mountain, nothing will go wrong." Ning Cheng cupped his fists and said, "Many thanks, Brother Kong." He understood Kong Zai's meaning. Whether Shenyun was hiding in the Grand Essence Realm or not, he wouldn't tell Ning Cheng about Shenyun's whereabouts. But he also promised to stay in the Grand Essence Mountain and help Ning Cheng defend his territory. Even if Shenyun came back, it wouldn't cause any harm to Ning Cheng. This kind of result, for Ning Cheng, could not be any better. In fact, even if Dao Monarch Earth was in the Grand Essence Realm, Ning Cheng wouldn't be afraid of him. An Earth Dao Lord would at most have the same strength as Kong Zai. Even if he was strong, he wouldn't be ridiculously strong. After Kong Zai obtained the Tai Chi Human King technique, his strength would definitely surpass his own. But with his strength after Dao perfection, coupled with the Grand Essence Mountain's defensive array, he wouldn't be any weaker than Shenyun. The only thing he worried about was what would happen if Xinyan appeared when he wasn't in the Grand Essence Realm. According to Xinyan's thinking, he might even consider the Grand Essence Realm as his own territory. If he were to recover, the Taisu Dao court would be destroyed by him. This kind of ancient powerhouse would never care about his life. But with Kong Zai's promise, he wouldn't care about it anymore. What's more, once he started to repair the Grand Essence Realm, even if Xinyan hid in a hidden corner, he would know about it. Everything in the Grand Essence Realm remained the same. Under Li Feng's control, nothing happened to the Grand Essence Dao court. As soon as Ningcheng came back, Li Feng knew about it, and was the first one to greet him. Court Pillar Li, you've worked hard while I was away. Ningcheng saw Li Feng and quickly greeted her. Although Ningcheng was Li Feng's Dao lord, he still respected Li Feng. Li Feng had helped the Dao court the most, and he didn't have much selfishness. His only selfishness was to wait for Ningcheng to repair the Grand Essence Realm, and let the mysterious ancient tribe prosper again. For this selfishness, he was even willing to take out his growth rings. Li Feng looked at Ningcheng in shock. Dao Lord, did you succeed in Dao perfection? Ningcheng smiled slightly. Yes, I succeeded in Dao perfection. I won't be back for long this time, and I'll go out again soon. When I come back, I'll take you guys to Dao perfection. Speaking of this, Ningcheng sighed in his heart. Dao perfection was only difficult in the Grand Essence Realm, where the laws were broken. In a place like the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, Dao perfection holy emperors were nothing. Good. Li Feng said happily. He believed that Ningcheng wouldn't lie to him. Of course, he was happy about Dao perfection, but more importantly, how powerful would Ningcheng be after Dao perfection? One could say that the Grand Essence Realm had no worries. When Ningcheng was at primordial chaos, he could easily kill Dao perfection holy emperors. Now that Ningcheng had reached Dao perfection, there was no need to mention his strength. By the way, Court Pillar Li, did Han Qianwei do anything? Although Ningcheng wasn't worried about Han Qianwei, he still asked. No, Deacon Han has already found a lot of repair materials. I've observed him for a while, and he's doing his best. It looks like he really wants the Grand Essence Realm to be repaired as soon as possible. Li Feng replied. Ningcheng nodded. I still lack a kind of balanced soil. I've already gathered all the other materials. Once I find the balanced soil, the Grand Essence Realm can be repaired. When Li Feng heard that there was only one kind of balanced soil missing, he immediately became excited. If it weren't for the fact that this kind of thing couldn't be disclosed casually, he would have told everyone in the Grand Essence Realm. When Ningcheng said that he wanted to repair the Grand Essence Realm, he thought it was just a belief. The reason why he fully supported Ningcheng was because he wanted the Grand Essence Realm to have this belief. How many years had passed since then? Ningcheng really had a way to repair the Grand Essence Realm. Li Feng really didn't read the wrong person. Ningcheng could feel Li Feng's excitement. He cupped his fists and said to Li Feng again. Court Pillar Li, I'll only be gone for a short time this time. If there's anything you can't solve, go straight to Grand Essence Mountain. I've already occupied a place in heavens beyond. When the Grand Essence Realm is repaired, I'll build a teleportation array to heavens beyond here. Dao Monarch, don't worry. Li Feng will remember Dao Monarch's instructions. Heavens beyond was very important to people like Ningcheng, but for Li Feng, it was far less important than a hair of the Grand Essence Realm. Ningcheng didn't go to the Grand Essence Dao Court, and directly took Kong Zai back to Grand Essence Mountain. Almost everyone was in seclusion in Grand Essence Mountain, so Ningcheng didn't disturb them. He planned to call Ruolin and Luofei out the next time he came back. After saying hello to Chu Manhe and introducing Kong Zai, Ningcheng hurriedly left the Grand Essence Realm. He had to hurry to find Yemo. He couldn't miss the opportunity to enter the Chaos Realm. If he missed it, he didn't know when he would have to find the Chaos Realm by himself. Chapter 1368. In the void outside named Descendant Celestial River, Jiangzhou Star, one of the 4 grand starry skies, Ningcheng looked at the void in front of him with a blank mind. Jiangzhou Star had disappeared. He had taken over Jiangzhou Star, and it was also the place where all his friends cultivated in the starry skies. But now, Jiangzhou Star's position was only an endless void. Not to mention the mysterious yellow sect he established, even covered Snow City had disappeared. Ning Cheng's heart gradually turned cold. Jiangzhou Star was protected by his star-protecting Grand Array, which meant that it would never be swept away by the starry sky turbulence. Similarly, his star-protecting Grand Array was so strong that no one in the 4 grand starry skies could break it. Even if someone could break it, no one would dare to attack Jiangzhou Star. The only explanation was that someone had destroyed Jiangzhou Star. And it wasn't someone from the 4 grand starry skies who destroyed Jiangzhou Star, but an outsider powerhouse. Killing intent rose from the bottom of Ning Cheng's heart and spread around Ning Cheng. This killing intent cut through the surrounding laws of space and made caw-caw sounds. This was the first time Ning Cheng had such a strong killing intent. No matter who it was, since they destroyed Jiangzhou Star, he would make them pay back several times over. But what about his friends in Jiangzhou Star? Was Zhang Caihe there? What about Li Lingfan, Zhang Qian, Luo Zian and the others? The planet had been destroyed by someone, so their chances of survival were very slim. A flame burned in Ning Cheng's heart, and his spiritual consciousness stretched out without any scruples. His spiritual consciousness passed through one planet after another. Although his spiritual consciousness couldn't cover every corner of the 4 grand starry skies, it could still see many places. As his spiritual consciousness slowly spread out, he saw Xinyan, and then Jinghao and Xianyu, who had eloped with Jinghao. Seeing that the two still had a good relationship, Ning Cheng didn't disturb them. He didn't want to see the two of them either. Following that, Ning Cheng saw Taishu Shi. Ning Cheng felt happy in his heart, and the raging killing intent finally concealed a bit. After he lost contact with Taishu Shi in Graceful Star Mainland, he hadn't heard any news from him. Ning Cheng didn't expect to see Taishu Shi in this place. Just when Ning Cheng wanted to go and find Taishu Shi, his spiritual consciousness swept towards Lanya and Shi Yulan. Next to Lanya and Shi Yulan was the person he wanted to see the most, Luo Zian, who used to cultivate on Jiangzhou Star. Luo Zian, like Ning Cheng, came from Graceful Star Mainland's Rainbow Fall Sword sect. Moreover, she had been cultivating in Stately River Star for a long time, so how could Ning Cheng not care about it? As for why Stately River Star was destroyed, just ask Luo Zian. Ning Cheng decided to first find Luo Zian and ask her about what happened to Jiangzhou Star before going to find Taishu Shi. Lanya, Shi Yulan and Luo Zian sat on the ground floor of a rest stop within the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City. Fortunately, they did not enter the booths. If they entered the booths, even with Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, he would not be able to break through the endless restrictions covering the 4 grand starry skies booths. Lanya, Shi Yulan, Luo Zian, why are you here? Ning Cheng almost tore through the void in the shortest time possible, and arrived at the table where the 3 of them sat. In recent years, the starry skies vicissitudes aura around Lanya's body had grown even heavier, and her cultivation had also reached the undead realm. Shi Yulan's cultivation was slightly higher than Lanya's, reaching the heavens mandate realm of the celestial river's 3 realms. However, Luo Zian, who had cultivated the shortest amount of time, had the same strength as Lanya, in the undead realm. Ning Cheng understood that it was because Luo Zian cultivated in Stately River Star. Stately River Star had no shortage of cultivation resources or medicinal pills. With a genius like Luo Zian, she definitely had access to more resources. Almost at the same time, Lanya and the other 2 stood up, each with a look of disbelief on their faces. Sect Master, you're back? Luo Zian's tone turned even more excited. Big brother Ning. Shi Yulan and Lanya also called out. Shi Yulan felt the most emotional in her heart. She had desperately cultivated and wanted to raise her cultivation realm to a higher level. However, compared to Ning Cheng, the distance between her and Ning Cheng was not just a starry sky. She originally thought that she would never have a chance to see Ning Cheng again, but she inadvertently met him. Everyone, please sit down. Junior Apprentice Sister Zian, just call me Senior Apprentice Brother Ning. Ning Cheng completely converged his killing intent. Although he desperately needed to know what was going on, he also knew that Lanya and the other 2 could not withstand his killing intent with their current strength. As the 3 of them sat down, Lanya and Shi Yulan both looked at Luo Xian. They knew that Ning Cheng's main purpose in coming here was to find Luo Xian. Luo Xian hadn't spoken yet, but her eyes turned red. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath and tried to speak in a slow tone. Junior apprentice Sister Xian, tell me in detail how Stately River Star was destroyed. Don't miss anything. What happened to my mysterious yellow sex people in Stately River Star? What about Deputy Sect Master Tsang Saiha? What about Li Lingfan, Zhang Qian and Gong Xiuzhu? What about the hundreds of millions of cultivators living in Stately River Star? Ning Cheng asked several questions in one breath. Luo Xian nodded and spoke with a slightly hoarse voice. If it weren't for Jing Yi's special reminder, I'm afraid that no one in Stately River Star would have been able to escape. Did that woman from the everlasting sacred shrine do it? Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the saintess Xu Chang he saw in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. With Xu Chang's strength, she couldn't destroy Stately River Star. It must have been done by that evil woman Xing Shi. Ning Cheng clenched his fists and wished he could immediately kill that evil woman to avenge all the innocent people in Stately River Star. Luo Xian nodded. That woman Xu Chang can't destroy Stately River Star. It's her new master. I haven't met her master, but I heard rumors that she stepped on a green lotus and smashed the entire Stately River Star with a raise of her hand. Even after such a long time, Luo Xian still spoke in a sad tone. She had cultivated in Stately River Star for so long that she had already developed feelings for it. Moreover, she had many friends in Stately River Star. But now these friends were all gone. If it weren't for Ning Cheng holding back his killing intent, the laws around him would have already collapsed. When that bitch Xu Chang went to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, he actually let her go. Luo Xian continued. Fortunately, Senior Apprentice Brother set up a teleportation array in Stately River Star when he left. When Jing Yi learned that Xu Chang was coming to take revenge on you, she quickly came to Stately River Star to send a message. She told us to evacuate, but unfortunately, Xu Chang and her master came too quickly. Only a few of us managed to escape, but she smashed Stately River Star with a slap. Except for a few people who escaped, no one was spared from Stately River Star. Because I left first, I was lucky enough to escape. Since Vice Sect Master Tsang stayed behind, I'm afraid he wouldn't be able to escape. Thinking of the kindness Vice Sect Master Tsang showed to all the disciples of the mysterious Yellow Sect, Luo Xian couldn't continue. How vicious. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. Stately River Star had a population of hundreds of millions. This woman named Xu Chang was just as vicious as Xing Shi. If he didn't kill Xing Shi and Xu Chang, he would rather not go to the Gate of Good Fortune. Ning Cheng's eyes turned a little red, but he didn't speak. Lanya and Shi Yulan also didn't speak. The atmosphere at this moment was a bit depressing. The three of you come with me? A sudden voice interrupted Ning Cheng's thoughts. The one who spoke was a woman in the heaven-seated realm. She looked very beautiful, but her tone was cold. Where to? Ning Cheng looked at the Lanya trio in doubt and asked. Shi Yulan quickly replied. I asked Earth Pill Grandmaster Dao Su to refine a severing filth-shadowed heavenly pill. Because many people wanted to ask Earth Pill Grandmaster for alchemy, the three of us lined up here. So that was the case. Shi Yulan was at the late stage of Heaven's Mandate realm, and was about to break through to the heaven-seated realm. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng took the initiative to speak up. You don't need to refine this medicinal pill. I can help you. Shi Yulan bit her lip, although she didn't want Ning Cheng to help. However, the price of asking Dao Su to refine a severing filth-shadowed heavenly pill was sky-high. Although she lined up here, whether she could afford the crystal stones was another matter. If she couldn't afford the crystal stones, she would have to help Pill Grandmaster Dao Su. Similarly, even if she could afford the crystal stones, it would take a long time before she could ask Dao Su for alchemy. Once the refinement failed, she could only blame herself for suffering a loss. However, Dao Su rarely failed in alchemy, and the quality of the medicinal pills he produced was very good. Luo Xian also calmed down a lot at this moment. After listening to Ning Cheng's words, she also tried to persuade him. Senior Apprentice Sister Yulan, even Vice Sect Master admires Senior Apprentice Brother Ning's Tao of Alchemy. Why don't you ask Senior Apprentice Brother Ning for help? Shi Yulan stood up and gave a slight bow to Ningcheng. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. Ningcheng waved his hand. You're welcome. Let's leave this place first and then discuss it. Ningcheng intended to return a true spirit world to Shi Yulan. The true spirit world in his hands belonged to Shi Yulan in the past. Over the years, he had no idea how many true spirit worlds he had obtained. Lanya and the other two immediately followed Ningcheng and stood up. When the heaven-seated woman saw Shi Yulan and the other two about to leave, her face suddenly sank. She stopped in front of them and spoke with an unfriendly tone. Is Master Saber free? Since you've made an appointment, you have to go up. Luo Zian spoke up with some doubts. This elder sister, we've already paid a lot of crystal stones for the appointment. Now that we don't want the crystal stones and don't want to perform alchemy, can't we just leave? That's right. Since you've made an appointment, you have to go up. The woman spoke with an expressionless face. At this moment, a cold snort arrived and fell into the ears of Shi Yulan and the other two. It made Shi Yulan and the other two tremble, and their faces turned pale. From beginning to end, Ningcheng didn't make a move. Instead, his spiritual consciousness passed through the restrictions and saw a man in the booth upstairs. This man had early-stage eternal cultivation and wore a starry sky Taoist robe. He looked like a celestial being. In front of him, a huge pill furnace was suspended, with a flame burning under the pill furnace. Obviously, this Taoist didn't want Shi Yulan and the other two to pay the queue fee and leave. Ningcheng felt unhappy in his heart, yet someone took the initiative to find him. He could only blame this Dao Su for being unlucky. Let's go up and have a look. You lead the way. Ningcheng glanced at the woman and spoke with a somewhat unpleasant tone. The woman didn't even look at Ningcheng and took the initiative to go upstairs. Ningcheng gave Lanya and the other two a meaningful glance, and the three of them, along with Ningcheng, followed the woman upstairs. Chapter 1369. Previously, when he had swept out with his spiritual consciousness downstairs, Ningcheng did not care about it. When Ningcheng entered the Dao Mausoleum's room, he immediately stared at the huge cauldron suspended in the middle of the room. Because on the edge of the cauldron, there were two small seal characters engraved, 5 clones. An ordinary cauldron suddenly became extraordinary because of these 2 words. He knew about this cauldron, and he had heard about it more than once. In Lu Dongse's book on plants and vegetation, he had seen the 5-star cauldron. Apart from that, when he was exploring the heaven and earth god's grave mound, he found many broken jade slips, and one of them recorded the 5 silvery cauldron. It was rumored that Dao Lord Shenong was the #1 pill saint in the universe, just like how Dao Lord Fate had control over fate. Dao Lord Shenong had control over all the spirit herbs and alchemy in the world. Dao Lord Shenong had 3 famous cauldrons. The first was the Shenong cauldron, the second was the 5-headed cauldron, and the third was the Yen cauldron. Before Dao Lord Shenong had reached the 3rd step, he had been called the Flame Emperor. Other than that, there were also people who referred to him as the great god farmer of the 5 seas. What made it even more difficult for Ningcheng to contain his emotions was that Dao Lord Shenong also obtained his Dao from Earth. In the history of Wuxia on Earth, there were rumors of Emperor Yen, coupled with Dao Lord Purple Firmament, whom he had met once before. If it really was Hongjun who possessed the good fortune jade disc, Ningcheng started to suspect that the ancient legends of Earth were not groundless. Which one of you wants to refine pills? Dao Su's gaze swept past the Shi Yulan trio. As for Ningcheng, who was still in a daze, he directly ignored him. Senior, it's this junior. It's just that this junior doesn't want to practice alchemy for the time being. Shi Yulan, on seeing Ningcheng's mind wander, quickly stood up and spoke up. After saying that, he felt that he needed a reason, so he added, "This junior doesn't have that many crystals on him right now." Dao Su chuckled. "I don't need crystal stones. I can wave crystal stones for the 3 of you. I'll refine a cauldron of cleansing filth shadowy pills for you for free on the condition that you do something with me." Whether it was Shi Yulan or Luo Zian, both of them not only had excellent looks, but their qualifications were also very suitable for his cultivation method. Dual cultivation with this kind of human furnace would definitely bring him unimaginable benefits. As for Lanya, Although her appearance and qualifications were slightly worse, he could still reluctantly accept her. Sure, Yulan's complexion turned cold. She finally understood why no one came down to call out to the three of them, while the others lined up. It turned out that Dao Su had been eyeing the three of them for a long time. "Sister Yulan, let's go," Luo Xian furiously said. "You want to leave?" Dao Su sneered and raised his hand to grab him. As soon as the surrounding space fluctuated, Ningcheng felt alarmed. When Dao Su's celestial essence giant hand grabbed onto Ningcheng's defensive domain, it felt as if it had encountered a layer of hard steel. It couldn't penetrate it at all. "You've got guts." Ningcheng walked to the side of the 5 mystic cauldron and raised his hand to grab the 5 mystic cauldron. He then stared coldly at Dao Su and spoke. When Dao Su caught hold of Ningcheng's protective domain, he felt shocked. At this time, when Ningcheng grabbed his 5-thread cauldron, the flames under his 5-thread cauldron felt as if someone was pinching its throat, and instantly extinguished it. Not only that, along with a tearing pain from his sea of consciousness collapsing, the 5-silhouette cauldron no longer had any mental connection with him. This was a peerless powerhouse. That was Dao Su's only thought. It wasn't until this moment that he realized that from the moment he saw Ningcheng seemed to have merged with the starry sky around him. He couldn't find anything out of place at all. Because of this, he couldn't even think of spying on Ningcheng's true strength. Cultivation that did not have any sudden changes was the most frightening cultivation. Says. Dao Su felt suppressed by Ningcheng's imposing aura, and couldn't even utter the word senior for a long time. Luo Xian didn't speak, but she wasn't surprised. When Ningcheng returned to stately River Star for the first time, his strength had already reached a terrifying level. At this time, his strength must have reached a level that she couldn't even imagine. "You probably used alchemy for others and ruined many innocent female cultivators, right?" Ningcheng hadn't even moved his hand, but Dao Su already couldn't breathe. Dao Su finally knew that he could speak a complete sentence. "Senior, this junior is from Culmination Grand Starry Skies Emperor Star Mountain. I beg Senior to..." Oh, after Chuan Xinlo left, who became the new Heavenly Emperor. As Ningcheng spoke, his spiritual consciousness directly penetrated all the restrictions around Emperor Star Mountain. He saw a middle-aged man cultivating in the area with the densest starry sky essence chi in Emperor Star Mountain. Most likely this fellow was the new Heavenly Emperor. Ningcheng wasn't in the mood to care about who it was and directly retracted his spiritual consciousness. Because Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness didn't cover it up, a middle-aged man cultivating in a cave in the deepest part of Emperor Star Mountain immediately felt shocked. He suddenly stood up and looked around with a horrified expression. "It's Saber-different Heavenly Emperor." Dao Su quickly spoke up. "I heard that every time he killed his opponent he used a different blade, so it's called Saber-different." Lanya explained from the side. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart. When she first met Ningcheng didn't even know about the 3 realms of Celestial Scryer. But now, she was still lingering around the 3 realms of Celestial River. Ningcheng had already surpassed her by many times. Ningcheng nodded and didn't have any interest in this Saber-different. Instead, he grabbed the 5-thread cauldron and asked, "Where did you get this cauldron?" It was from a woman. Dao Su could tell that Ningcheng had a much greater interest in the 5-thread cauldron compared to him. He also knew that the 5-thread cauldron was something extraordinary. Unfortunately, in the face of such a powerhouse, not to mention the 5-thread cauldron, he might not even be able to keep his life. "What about that woman?" Ningcheng's voice turned stern. "I know, she blew herself up. Everything on her body disappeared because of the explosion. Only this cauldron remained." Dao Su broke out in cold sweat and trembled in fear. He couldn't even breathe properly. Ningcheng could tell that Dao Su wasn't lying. He gave out a sigh. Unfortunately, this woman had obtained the 5-thread cauldron. He didn't know if she came from Earth. Ningcheng no longer had the mood to talk to Dao Su. He raised his hand and slapped Dao Su's body, turning Dao Su into nothingness. Junior Saber-different greets Senior. Saber-different had already arrived outside Ningcheng's booth. The Dao Charm aura from Ningcheng's slap made him tremble. This aura could even kill him with a single breath. Ningqing walked out of the booth and looked at Saber Different standing at the door, and asked in a cold voice, "Does Dao Su have anything to do with you?" "No, it has nothing to do with me. If Senior hadn't killed this person, this Junior wouldn't have known that Eternal Heaven's Starry Sky City had such scum. In fact, Dao Su had nothing to do with Saber Different. Saber Different was obsessed with the Dao every day. How could he have the time to care about an ant like Dao Su who deliberately changed his surname to Dao?" For Saber Different, Ningqing standing in front of him felt like a giant mountain, boundless and boundless. Since such a senior killed Dao Su, even if he didn't know what Dao Su did, he had to say that Dao Su was a failure. "My name is Ningqing, have you heard of me?" Ningqing suddenly said. Saber Different looked up in surprise and said, "So Senior is the mysterious Yellow sect master. This Junior knows about it. Stately River Star is the premier star of the 4 grand starry skies. And this Junior has long admired it." Then he remembered what happened in Stately River Star, and quickly bowed. "Regarding Stately River Star, this Junior is too weak and couldn't stop it. Please forgive me, Senior." He felt worried that Ningqing would use this as a pretext to kill him with a punch. Ningqing sighed. "You can't intervene in Stately River Star's matters. I want to ask you for a favor." "Senior, please tell me. As long as Dao Butong can do it, I will do my best to do it." Saber Different couldn't wait to slap his chest. Who didn't know about Ningqing's prestige? Who didn't know about him? If Ningqing had been in Stately River Star, then anyone who wanted to destroy Stately River Star would have been courting death. But what he didn't know was that even if Ningqing was in Stately River Star, he couldn't beat Xingxi. If Ningqing could beat Xingxi, he wouldn't have been in such a hurry to find the Chaos Realm. "I have something to do and have to leave. I want you to help me find a prosperous planet and rebuild Stately River Star according to Stately River Star's model. As long as the original people of Stately River Star come back, they can settle down in the new Stately River Star." Ningqing said sincerely. Saber Different felt overjoyed and quickly said, "Senior, rest assured. This Junior will definitely find an excellent planet and rename it Stately River Star. Then rebuild it according to Stately River Star's model, and then rebuild the mysterious Yellow sect in Stately River Star." For Saber Different, this kind of thing was a dream come true. He feared that Ningqing wouldn't ask him for help. But as long as Ningqing asked for help, he would gladly do it. With Ningqing's power, how could he lose out on benefits if he asked someone like him for help? As for planets, he managed his own grand starry sky, which meant that he had countless planets in his hands. He had already made up his mind to change the entire Culmination Starland into Stately River Starland. Culmination Starland was the center of Grand Culmination Starry Sky, so it would be best to change it into Stately River Starland. Originally, Ningqing only intended to let Saber Different rebuild Stately River Star, so that those who lost their homes could come back. Because Saber Different wasn't a disciple of Mysterious Yellow Sect, he didn't want Saber Different to rebuild Mysterious Yellow Sect. But now that Saber Different took the initiative to propose it, he felt his heart move. Saber Different quickly knelt down and said, "Saber Different is willing to worship Senior as his master. Senior, please accept it." Ningqing sighed. No wonder he could occupy Emperor Star Mountain after Chuan Xinlo left. This fellow truly was a clever person. Ningqing took out a ring and handed it to Saber Different before saying, "It contains a Dao sculpting method, along with many materials and cultivation resources. You can use it to rebuild Stately River Star. At the same time, you can also use the cultivation methods and resources inside to sculpt your Dao. I agree to let you join the Mysterious Yellow Sect and temporarily serve as the Mysterious Yellow Sect's deputy sect master to rebuild Stately River Star. As for becoming a disciple, let's not talk about it for the time being." Ningqing didn't know what kind of person Saber Different was, so he didn't want to casually accept a person as a disciple. Sure enough, after reaching Eternal, one would have to reach Dao Confirmation, which meant Dao Sculpting. Saber Different excitedly took the ring from Ningqing and thanked him again. "Many thanks, Sect Master. I will definitely make Stately River Star the premier star of the 4 grand starry skies." He had been in seclusion for countless years, and had been looking forward to reaching the Dao for countless years. Yet he managed to obtain it by chance. What was destiny? This was destiny. Chapter 1370. Ningqing took out 3 more rings and handed them to the Luoxian trio. At the same time, he sent a voice transmission to them. These 3 rings are cultivation resources for you. After you cultivate to the eternal realm, you can follow the jade strips in the rings to the grand essence realm. After saying that, Ningqing also said to Dao Budong, the same goes for you. When you succeed in Dao sculpting, you can hand this place over to someone you trust, and then head to the grand essence realm. Initially, Ningqing planned to send Luoxian and the other 2 to the grand essence realm before coming back. But now that Dao Budong wanted to rebuild Jiangzhou Star, Ningqing decided to let Luoxian and the other 2 stay behind. First, the 3 of them could stay here to help. Second, with 3 familiar people, the reconstruction of stately River Star would be much more convenient. Another point was that Ningqing knew that he had already delayed for a long time. If he continued to delay, then he feared that he would not have any chance at all. He just hoped Yemo would be slower when taking that Time Law world. Shi Yulan gave out a sigh of relief. Accepting Ningqing's cultivation resources was already too much. If she accepted anything else from Ningqing, then she would feel even more uncomfortable in her heart. She was a proud person. Since she decided not to have any relationship with Ningqing, then she did not want to keep accepting benefits from Ningqing. After Ningqing left Culmination Starland, when his spiritual consciousness tried to search for Taishu Shi, he found that Taishu Shi had already disappeared. He originally intended to let Taishu Shi go to Culmination Starland and cultivate together with Lanya and the others. Who would have thought that in such a short time, this fellow would hide in some kind of restriction? Ningqing decided to wait until he came back to look for Taishu Shi. Now he did not have much time. The largest company in Jiang District would definitely be the Fairy Shadow Group. After the boss of Chengrulan Materials, Dai Xian, went missing, Jiangzhou's first assembly, Chengrulan Materials, was gradually replaced by the Fairy Shadow Group. The Fairy Shadow Tower was the symbol of the Fairy Shadow Group in Jiang District. This building was 108 stories tall and stood on the riverside of Jiang District. It was 20 stories taller than the Jin Mao Tower. In the largest office on the 18th floor of the Fairy Shadow Building, an excessively young girl sat behind a huge desk, a little dazed. Li Chengrulan is on sale. Should we buy it? A woman who looked to be in her 30s hurriedly ran in and said with a slightly excited tone. The girl raised her head blankly and looked at the woman who had rushed in. After a while she said, "Why did you buy it?" The woman spoke up in a somewhat exasperated manner. Chengrulan Materials used to be the world's #1 company. Although the materials industry was in a slump, but even a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse. If we buy it and transform it a little, we will definitely be able to make a lot of money. The girl sighed. I already have enough money, so why do I still want to earn money? When I first started the company, I didn't think about making a lot of money. The reason why Fairy Shadow could become so big was really because of luck. Yuning, I'll leave this place to you. I want to make a trip to Haidu. The excited expression on the middle-aged woman's face immediately dimmed, and she immediately said, If you don't want to buy it, then don't buy it. Li, if I could be like you, after so many years, my appearance did not change at all. I would not be in the mood to make money. Speaking of this, the middle-aged woman suddenly became excited. Li, can you tell me, how do you take care of yourself? As long as you reveal a little, I promise I won't ask you this question again. When Su Li heard this sentence, her expression once again fell into confusion. After a while, she shook her head and did not speak. In her mind, the person who fell from the sky once again appeared. Although she later knew that that person was not an immortal, but someone from Jiangzhou, she still could not separate him from the immortal. Ningqing stood outside the Earth's atmosphere and swept out with his spiritual consciousness. There was no shadow of Yemo around the Earth. As for the time law world that Yemo spoke of, he also did not see it. Ningqing sighed. Sure enough, he was a step too late. Originally, Ningqing did not intend to return to Earth, But when his spiritual consciousness swept out to the Farrell Brook Mountain, he saw that Ilay had unexpectedly built a Taoist nunnery in the Farrell Brook Mountain, causing his heart to suddenly feel a little sad. Regarding Ilay, he really did not have even the slightest feeling. It was just that Ilay settling down in the Farrell Brook Mountain alone most likely had a lot to do with him. However, Ilay looked very young. How many years had passed on the earth? Ningcheng patted his head. He clearly knew that the earth was wrapped in the time law world, which obviously meant that the time outside was very different. Ningcheng already had a certain understanding of the time law world in the vast void. It did not mean that when the time law world wrapped around the earth's time and the planets outside the earth's time would form a ratio. In fact, there was no law to follow. The same time law world, the time difference formed in different periods was also different. For example, when he left the earth and came to the Yixing mainland for more than 10 years, only 3 years had passed on the earth. But if it was another period, 3 days or even 3 hours might have passed. The reason for this situation was because of the time law world. Yimo said that the time law world wrapped around the earth, but in fact, Yimo's words might not necessarily be correct. In the void, there was a world that far exceeded the laws, and that was the world law world. If the time law world wrapped around the earth, then the time difference between the earth and the outside might be even greater. In the vast void, there was also a great Tao law world. This kind of world law world was basically impossible to encounter. Just like the time reversal spirit art, once you pass through this time law world, you would even go back in time. After Yimo took away the time law world wrapped around the earth, the passage of time on the earth would not be so different from the vast starry sky. If he came back after 1,000 years, even if the earth had not passed 1,000 years, it would not be the same as it was now. Ningcheng decided to see Ilay before leaving. When Ningcheng landed on earth, he saw the Chung Rule Materials Group. On the top of a building in Jiang State City, these words were very conspicuous. However, these words were a bit mottled, most likely because they had not been repaired. After he and Ning Rulan left, Dai Xian was responsible for the Chung Rule Materials. Not knowing how Dai Xian was doing, Ningcheng scanned with his spiritual consciousness, but did not see Dai Xian. He gave up the idea of looking for Ilay immediately, and went straight to Jiang State City. If Dai Xian wanted to leave Earth, he would take Dai Xian with him. Dai Xian was Rulan's best friend, and had always stood by Rulan's side during her most difficult times. As soon as Ningcheng arrived at the Chung Rule Materials Group, his spiritual consciousness spied on the topic that everyone in the company was talking about. That is, the Chung Rule Materials Group was going to sell. Ningcheng also knew the person sitting in the Chung Rule Materials Group CEO's office. It was Li Shiyin, who shared the same dormitory with Ning Rulan and Dai Xian. Shiyin, why do you look so sad? Ningcheng's figure moved slightly, and appeared in Li Shiyin's office. Li Shiyin was surprised by Ningcheng's words and immediately looked up before calling out in surprise. Elder brother Xiaocheng, you're back? Did Rulan come back? She did not know where Ningcheng and Rulan went, but she vaguely guessed that they might have gone to another planet. If it was before the insects invaded Earth, she would have doubted such a thing. But if the insects could invade Earth, then what else could they not do? What's more, the destruction of those insects, she heard that it was related to Rulan's brother Ningcheng. Ningcheng smiled. Rulan did not come back. I came back to take care of something. By the way, why didn't I see Dai Xian? Li Shiyin sighed and spoke. A few years after you left, Dai Xian was not in the mood to do business. She put all her energy into secluded cultivation. At the beginning of last year, she finally told me that she was going to look for you and Rulan. After that, she never came back. Ningcheng suddenly frowned. With Dai Xian's qualifications, even if he gave her sufficient cultivation resources, she would at best be at the essence-building realm. An essence-building realm cultivator absolutely could not leave Earth. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept out in an overwhelming manner. He could almost see everyone he knew, including Yin Yihui. However, he did not find Dai Xian. Did Dai Xian really leave Earth? Otherwise, with his spiritual consciousness, he would have already covered countless Earths. By the way, why do you want to sell the company? Ningcheng temporarily put down the matter of Diaxion. Li Shiyan quickly spoke. With the insects gone, the insect materials are getting more and more difficult to make. Elder brother Yin, because of his obsession with martial arts, has no way to stay in the company. I don't think it's too late to sell the company. If we wait any longer, I estimate that the company will go bankrupt. Li Shiyan knew that Ningcheng would not take over the company, so she simply did not say anything about it. Ningcheng nodded. Shiyan, don't sell the company. You can write off the Cheng Rule and Company, and then sell off everything in the company. Ah. Li Shiyan suddenly froze on hearing these words, but quickly reacted and quickly spoke up. Okay, how should I give you the money? Ningcheng shook his head. Shiyan, this money is all yours. I have no use for it. But, Li Shiyan wanted to say something, but Ningcheng stopped her. No buts, I'm leaving. Thank you for taking care of Rulin in the past. Elder brother Xiaocheng, will I never be able to see you and Rulin again? After Ningcheng's words came out, Li Shiyan suddenly had a premonition that this separation from Ningcheng would be forever. Ningcheng initially wanted to give a few medicinal pills to Li Shiyan, but after thinking about it, he decided against it. Li Shiyan was an ordinary person. If he gave Li Shiyan medicinal pills, it would most likely harm her. Unfortunately, Li Shiyan did not have a spiritual root. Although Ningcheng believed that there was a way for people without spiritual roots to cultivate in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. However, he did not say it out loud. Sometimes the ruthless and cruel world of cultivation was not necessarily better than living a peaceful and contented life. Maybe, take care of yourself. Saying that, Ningcheng slowly walked out. Elder brother Xiaocheng, you also have to take care. Li Shiyan murmured from behind. She suddenly felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Ningcheng's sideburns had already turned a little gray. It looked like he had lived a very hard life these years. She naturally did not know that the gray on Ningcheng's sideburns was caused by burning his essence, blood and longevity during the battle with Xian Mao. He had suffered a serious injury, and although a drop of true essence of the universe allowed him to recover from his injuries and restore his cultivation, it did not completely restore his consumed longevity. Chapter 1371. You're the decorator. Li Yuning had just walked out of the Fairy Shadow Building when she saw Ningcheng standing in front of the Fairy Shadow Building. Ningcheng smiled and nodded. Yes, I'm the decorator. When his spiritual consciousness swept towards Su Li leaving the Fairy Shadow Building, Ningcheng guessed that the Fairy Shadow Building was Su Li's company. For Su Li to name the company Fairy Shadow Building, it also made sense. After all, Su Li knew that he had fallen from the sky, and certainly knew what he had done. As for Li Yuning, she most likely would not inquire about his origin and whereabouts. Are you looking for Li? Li Yuning's tone turned cold. She really couldn't figure out why Su Li would be so polite to a decorator. Now that so many years had passed, the other party had come looking for her again. She had said that she could not give these decorators any color. If she gave them a bit of color, they would open up a dye shop. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept towards Su Li and found that she had just left, but he did not want to look for Su Li. Shaking his head, he spoke. No, I was just passing by. Saying that, Ningcheng turned around and instantly left, leaving behind a bewildered Li Yuning. Su Li sat in a coffee shop, holding a cup of coffee, just like before in the company, once again falling into confusion. She did not know where to go from here. She had reached the peak of her career. However, she always felt that it was not what she needed. She had secretly spent countless efforts to find Ningcheng's whereabouts, but had never found any trace of news. Ningcheng's origin and past was also a secret within the Federation. Except for people like her who came from a big family, or people who had a relationship with Ningcheng, only a few ordinary people knew about Ningcheng's actions. Moreover, she had seen Ningcheng fall from the sky with her own eyes. Even if it was just an illusion, Ningcheng had given her a pill, which allowed her to maintain her appearance for so many years, without even suffering from minor illnesses. This was more convincing than anything else. At this time, her cell phone suddenly rang. Su Li glanced at the caller ID and sighed. Li Yuning was not her best friend, But Li Yuning took the initiative to find her after the divorce, so she simply let Li Yuning work in the company. Li Yuning's schemes were too heavy, and she valued profit too much, which made her somewhat disgusted. In the company, she was clear about some of the things that Li Yuning had secretly done, but she was too lazy to care about them. Money was really nothing to her. No matter what, Li Yuning was still helping her, so she still picked up the phone. Li Yuning's prophetic tone came through the phone. Li Yi, I'm not wrong, right? Do you still remember the decorator we met when we were studying in Haidu? The renovation worker came to look for you again. He looked a little old and seemed to be living a hard life. I guess he came to ask for your help. Today he was embarrassed by what I said and left. He will definitely come again next time. Pada. Su Li's phone suddenly fell on the table, knocking over the coffee on the table, but she did not even notice it. In just less than 2 seconds, Su Li excitedly grabbed the mobile phone with the coffee juice on it. Completely not caring about the coffee on her face, she directly put the phone to her ear and eagerly asked, Yuning, where is Ningcheng? You must stop him for me. I'll go back to the company immediately. At the entrance of the fairy shadow group, Li Yuning stared blankly at the phone that had been hung up. She really could not understand why Su Li cared so much about the renovation worker. Then she remembered that the renovation worker had already left. She hurriedly chased after him, but could no longer see his shadow. Feral Brook Mountain. Ningcheng had come here once when he was looking for the wood origin bead. If he had not seen Ilay here, perhaps he would never have set foot in the Feral Brook Mountain again. Ilay, are you okay? Ningcheng walked out of the Dao nunnery, but did not sweep out with his spiritual consciousness. Instead, he stood at the door and called out. However, for a long time, he did not hear Ilay's answer, causing him to feel puzzled in his heart. Did Ilay go out? As his spiritual consciousness swept in, Ningcheng immediately saw Ilay lying unconscious on the bed with a trace of blood on the corner of her mouth. Feeling some messy true essence aura rampaging through her meridians, Ningcheng immediately came to a realization. Ilay cultivated the cultivation method that he had given her, and because of it, she had gone overboard. Seeing that Ilay's bed was made of bluestone, Ningcheng understood that this was not the first time Ilay had encountered such a thing. Previously, he had only casually swept out with his spiritual consciousness, coupled with the fact that Ilay was a woman. It was not easy for him to observe carefully. As such, he did not notice it. Ningcheng secretly shook his head and sighed. He walked towards Ilay, raised his hand and patted Ilay's body a dozen times, then took out a medicinal pill and put it into Ilay's mouth. Ilay's situation. It was estimated that no one on earth could save her. However, for him, it was not even the slightest bit difficult. He took this opportunity to not only help Ilay re-expand her meridians, but also helped Ilay open up some of the blocked meridians. In other words, when Ilay woke up, her strength would be nearly 3 or 4 times stronger than her current strength. In just a minute, Ilay's breathing gradually stabilized, and her face also turned a little rosier. Ningcheng's face also turned a little rosier, as he hesitated for a moment, before he raised his hand and placed it between Ilay's eyebrows a few times. He had engraved some of his martial Dao cultivation experiences into Ilay's consciousness. Since Ilay wanted to cultivate martial Dao so hard, he might as well help her. Ilay did not have a master, and could only rely on herself to explore. If he did not let her understand a little more about the martial Dao cultivation methods, then perhaps she would fall into this kind of situation again next time. At the same time as Ningcheng withdrew his hand, Ilay opened her eyes. She then closed her eyes again, and muttered to herself. Why am I dreaming? How come a day and a night have passed so quickly? She soon felt that something was wrong. Opening her eyes again, she then sat up as fast as she could. Big brother Ning, did you come back? Ningcheng spoke up apologetically. I came back. If I had not left behind a cultivation method for you to cultivate, you would not have suffered such a heavy injury. If it were not because of a special situation, I'm afraid that you would not have survived. Ilay looked at Ningcheng in a daze. After a while, she shook her head and spoke. No, if it were not for the cultivation method that you left behind, perhaps I would have already lost the will to live. Only by cultivating every day, Would I have a kind of pursuit? Ningcheng's heart moved, and he immediately took out a dilapidated ancient book and handed it to Yilei. Yilei, this is a martial Dao cultivation method that I obtained by chance. I took a look at it, and although it is not suitable for me to cultivate, it is of an extremely high level. Ningcheng's words did not contain the slightest bit of boasting. He had found this dilapidated martial Dao cultivation method from the Heaven and Earth Deity's tomb mound. The Heaven and Earth Deity's tomb mound was the battlefield of the First Good Fortune War. Therefore, it would have been strange if something from the Heaven and Earth Deity's tomb mound was inferior. Because of Ningcheng's arrival, coupled with Ningcheng removing all of Yilei's injuries, her spirit and chi had improved by a lot. She did not refuse the cultivation method. Big brother Ning, is your planet far from Earth? Ningcheng vaguely understood Yilei's thoughts. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. It's very far. With our Earth's technology, I'm afraid it would take many centuries before we would have the opportunity to come into contact with that kind of planet. Yilei pursed her lips and then asked firmly, Big brother Ning, if I cultivate this cultivation method, can I also leave Earth in the future? Ningcheng spoke up without hesitation. Of course you can. This cultivation method is one of the top martial Dao cultivation methods in the vast universe. If I succeed in cultivating it, not to mention leaving Earth, my future achievements might even surpass my current achievements. As for whether her future achievements would surpass his current achievements, Ningcheng did not know. However, Ningcheng knew that since she could participate in the First Great War of Good Fortune, how could she be a weakling? Yilei carefully put away the cultivation method and spoke up firmly. Big brother Ning, I want to cultivate this cultivation method. In the future, I can also strive to go to the vast starry sky and find my own dream. Ningcheng sighed in his heart. It was not that he did not want to take Yilei with him. It was just that the competition in the vast starry sky was too fierce. Even if he took away Yilei and helped Yilei develop a spiritual root, he could not take Yilei with him. He also couldn't bring Yilei with him. With Yilei's cultivation base, the chances of her dying were too high. Big brother Ning, after you helped me heal my injuries, I feel like my mind has become a lot clearer. I believe I can do it. Yilei spoke with a firm tone. Ningcheng sighed in his heart. Yilei, I'll take you with me. Yilei shook her head. No, I want to rely on my own strength to go to the starry sky. If my qualifications are really limited, even if you take me with you, I would only be a burden. Ningcheng also knew that Yilei spoke the truth. He took out a ring and handed it to Yilei. This is for you. I thought that I would never come back, or that we would never meet again after coming back. I didn't expect that not only would I come back, but we would also meet again so soon. This ring contains cultivation resources, which you can't open right now. Once you open the ring, you will understand why I didn't help you open the ring. After saying that, Ningcheng paused for a moment before taking the initiative to speak up. Yilei, cultivating the martial Dao is even more difficult. If it's just a little bit worse, then don't work so hard. Sometimes living a plain life is also a kind of happiness. Yilei gave in sound. I know. In fact, I've always been advancing step by step in my own cultivation, and I have never experienced a situation of cultivation deviation. It was only to find Daixian that I sped up my cultivation, but the result. At this point, Yilei remembered something important and quickly said, Big brother Ning, let's hurry up and save Daixian. Ningcheng felt surprised and asked, Did you say that Daixian is still on Earth? Yilei nodded and spoke with affirmation. Yes, Daixian came to the Wild Brooch Mountain and settled down with me to cultivate. I also cultivated her cultivation method, but it didn't help me at all. Later, I realized that she didn't have any spiritual roots. Where did Daixian go? Ningcheng asked eagerly. If Daixian was on Earth, then there was no reason why he couldn't find her. For him, his Dao Charm giant hand could crush the Earth. If Daixian was on Earth, how could he not know? Unless Daixian fell. Chapter 1372. A year ago, she went to the Sky Sea Desert, and there was no news of her after that. Previously, She told me that the Sky-Sea Desert was definitely related to the cultivation civilization, so she wanted to check it out. At that time, I was trying to break through a bottleneck, so I didn't go with her. After we lost contact with her, I also went to the Sky-Sea Desert, but I knew that I was too weak the moment I went there. Later, I desperately cultivated, wanting to improve my strength. Ilei's tone was filled with self-blame. Obviously, she felt that Dai Xian's disappearance had something to do with her not being there with her. Ningqing frowned and asked, Sky-Sea Desert? What is this place? After asking this question, Ningqing finally understood what the Sky-Sea Desert was. When he swept out with his spiritual consciousness, he found several large deserts. Because he did not care about it, he did not notice that one of the deserts did not originally exist on Earth. Now that Ilei mentioned the Sky-Sea Desert, he immediately understood. Yes, this desert didn't exist before. It was centered on a small town not far from the insect swarm, and then it spread outwards. Later, it spread all the way to the edge of Wuxia's Jing City, including the 100 Bay Point, which turned into a desert. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness once again swept out, and found that the original 100 Bay Point had slowly turned into desertification. The place where he had fought with the bug swarm had now turned into a desert. This desert had almost become the largest desert on Earth. From afar, it looked like a sea of sand. No wonder it was called the Sky Sea. Ilei continued to explain. The center of the spread of the Heavenly Sea Desert is called Ruka Town. This was originally a small town on the border of Russia. It was considered quite prosperous, but now it has become the reason for the formation of the Heavenly Sea Desert. Many people went in to investigate, but they all disappeared. I suspect that Dai Xian also went to this town. What do you mean? Ningqing asked in doubt. Because the town disappears at night and reappears during the day. It was very strange. Many scientists who went in to investigate, as long as they didn't come out on the first day, they would disappear without a trace the next day, just like the night before. Now Ruka Town is also known as Lost Town. Ilei's tone carried a hint of lingering fear. Clearly, she had been to this town before. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell onto a small town in the middle of the Sky-Sea Desert. Far away from the town, there were many temporary tents. Some people were going in and out. They seemed to be scientists or explorers. What surprised Ning Cheng was that even with his powerful spiritual sense, he could still vaguely see the inside of the town. Ning Cheng immediately turned to Ilei and spoke. I'll go and have a look. You should focus on your cultivation. If Dai Xian is here, I will bring her out. If you're not here, I'll be leaving. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Ningqing did not tell Ilei not to go to the Lost Town. Since he had already gone there to investigate, then no matter how strange this Lost Town was, he would make sure that these strange things disappear. With his Dao integration stage power, it would be a piece of cake for him to destroy an entire planet, let alone a small restricted area on Earth. Big brother Ning, take care of yourself. Ilei completely concealed her emotions, not revealing even the slightest bit. If she didn't have the chance to step into the starry sky, then she would slowly grow old here. If she had the chance to step into the starry sky, she would pursue what she wanted. There were no troops stationed in the desert outside of Lost Town, only various exploration teams. Although Ningqing did not know why there was no army stationed here, he could guess a few things. Because this was the border of each country, they simply let the exploration teams of each country explore here. What are you doing? A young man with a high-grade camera on him saw Ningqing empty-handed and wanted to enter Ruka Town alone. He quickly stopped him and asked, I'm going in to have a look. Ningqing smiled and said, this young man was a warm-hearted person. Since he stopped him, it meant that he was worried about his safety. What made Ningqing feel even better was that this young man was a Chinese. The young man quickly shook his head and said, you must not go in at this time. This town will disappear completely in an hour at most. Even if you want to go in for an investigation, you have to wait until tomorrow. Speaking of investigation, he subconsciously looked at Ningqing's body. Ningqing had neither a backpack nor a defensive weapon. Going in like this was no different from courting death. Thank you. Ningqing nodded. I just want to investigate when this town disappears. If I wait until tomorrow, then I won't be able to investigate anything. After saying that, Ningqing turned around and walked towards the gradually blurring town. Wait for me. A woman in her 30s ran over. Ningqing looked at the woman in doubt. She was dressed in an exaggerated manner. She carried a large backpack on her back. Her boots were tied with a tri-edged thorn and a dagger. There was even a pistol at her waist. Her appearance was very ordinary. Her chest was the opposite of her ordinary appearance. It was surging. She was also a Chinese woman, and she looked like she was eager to have a go. My thoughts are the same as yours. If you don't go in for an investigation when the town disappears, then you won't be able to investigate anything. I support your idea. I will go in with you. Elder sister Ya, do you want to enter Lost Town at this time? The young man who stopped Ningqing apparently knew this woman in her 30s and quickly asked anxiously. The woman nodded. I've been here for almost half a year. I must figure out what's going on with Lost Town. But in the past few years, how many people have gone in at night and never come out? The young man's tone became even more anxious. The woman smiled and spoke. The truth always needs someone to sacrifice, doesn't it? Then I'll go in with you. The young man said helplessly. To his surprise, after he said those words, elder sister Ya did not try to persuade him. This made him feel a little discouraged. Elder sister Ya, you should at least try to persuade me. The woman spoke again. You are not a child. Since you have decided, then you should have your own thoughts. Why should I try to persuade you? Ningqing shook his head and did not speak much. He walked in first. The woman quickly quickened her pace and came to Ningqing's side and said, My name is Zheng Ya. I used to be a reporter. Later, I stayed in the Sky Sea Desert. I feel that you are a very capable person. But why didn't you bring anything to defend yourself? Nor did you bring anything. Zheng Ya spoke until here. She screamed and retreated behind Ningqing. A blond man abruptly came out from behind a mottled wall at the entrance of the town. He looked at the Ningqing trio and called out hello. Ningqing had already seen this guy, but did not care about it. The young man on the side explained. This person is an adventure reporter from the United States. His name is Kong Li. Once, he had just come out of Lost Town, and the Lost Town gradually disappeared. Just a little bit more. By the way, my name is Lupin. I am a professional adventurer. Ningqing nodded, looked at Zheng Ya and asked, How did you feel that I have the ability just because I didn't bring anything with me? Zheng Ya smiled again and spoke with some embarrassment. Actually, I had long wanted to come in at night to have a look. It was just that I was a little afraid of being alone. Now that you came in, I just wanted to embolden myself. By the way, how should I address you? The implication was that even if the person who came in was not Ningqing, she would still have followed him in. Oh my God, are you going to enter Wuxia town now? The blond man spoke out in surprise. His Chinese was also very fluent. My name is Ningqing. While speaking, Ningqing had already walked onto the main street of the town. The shops and houses on both sides of the street were modeled. Although this town had been swallowed by the desert for only a few years, but the vicissitudes of history felt as if hundreds of years had passed. I will also go in with you. Kong Li, who was still amazed a moment ago, suddenly turned around and caught up with the Ningqing trio. At the end of the town, there was a mottled and dilapidated church. Even if Ningqing stood outside the church, he could still feel a burst of yin qi. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept in, and found that there were countless remnant souls wandering inside the church. However, under Ningqing's spiritual consciousness, these remnant souls trembled and hid in a corner of the church. You can't go inside. This church is the Lost Town's ghost hall. Whether it is day or night, as long as you enter, you will encounter problems. Even if one or two survive, they would turn into idiots. Seeing Ningqing wanting to enter the church, Lupin quickly spoke up. Even Zheng Ya, who had always wanted to come in, spoke up from the side. Ningqing, what Lupin said is right. This church is indeed a bit strange. After going in, I heard that there were ghostly howls coming from inside. Why don't we go to other places first and check this place out last? Ningqing did not speak. He had already checked the town with his spiritual consciousness, and found that there were no problems in other places. The problem lay in this church. Previously, his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate every corner of the town, and it was also because of this church. At the top of the church, there was a small world of laws floating, completely invisible to the naked eye. To be honest, Ningcheng had never heard of such a small world of laws with such a high level. Ningcheng felt sure that the level of this world of laws was not low. Even with his spiritual consciousness, he could not fully penetrate every corner of it in a hurry. However, at this time, Ningcheng, standing in front of this small world of laws, had already seen it clearly. This was a world of the laws of space. With the level of this world of laws, it definitely did not belong to Earth. The reason why the Sky-Sea Desert could form was because of this world of laws. This world of laws had periodic fluctuations. Every night, the space of the world of laws would connect the space of this small town with the void outside of Earth. Once one entered this town at night, it was equivalent to entering the void through the transmission array. It would be fine if one had a cultivation, but almost everyone on Earth was an ordinary person. It would be a strange thing for anyone to survive after entering the void. As for the souls in the church, some were from Earth, while some came from the void. This small world of the laws of space was very valuable. Ningcheng knew that as long as he took away this world of laws, the Sky-Sea Desert would not spread, and the town would not disappear. But what worried Ningcheng was that Dai Xian must have entered this world of the laws of space and ended up in the void. Another thing that worried him was that he did not know if any powerful souls had entered Earth through this place. Chapter 1373. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness quickly swept out. This time, his spiritual consciousness penetrated almost every corner of the Earth. Apart from a few guys who seemed to be cultivating, Ningcheng did not find any powerful souls. After a while, Ningcheng retracted his spiritual consciousness. Ningcheng was not sure if there were any souls that he did not find. If there really was a fish from the void that he could not find, then he could only say that it was just luck. Hey Ningcheng, are you okay? Zhengye saw Ningcheng not speaking and quickly asked. Ningcheng had just finished searching the earth. He turned to the Zhengye trio and smiled. I'll go in and have a look. You three wait for me here. After saying that, Ningcheng stepped into the church in a few steps. Oh, I'll also go in and have a look. Seeing Ningcheng enter the church, Kongli also followed behind Ningcheng and quickly entered the church. Zhengye originally wanted to find someone to come in. Since Ningcheng and Kongli walked in front of her, how could she not go in? However, when she and Kongli reached the entrance of the church, they were blocked by an invisible force and could not take even half a step inside. It's over, it's dark, this town is starting to turn illusory. Lu Pin took a few steps back and spoke with a panicked expression. His body was still there, but he felt as if he was about to disappear. Kong Li's expression also changed drastically. He anxiously called out, "Hurry up and follow me. I've encountered this kind of situation once. As long as we retreat quickly, we'll be fine." As soon as Ningcheng entered the church, the Yin Soul aura immediately dissipated, and some even fled the church in panic. For these Yin Souls, this was completely instinctive. Ningcheng's powerful aura made these Yin Souls desperate. Even a single glance could make them disappear without a trace. Ningcheng naturally did not care about these low-level Yin Souls. He took a step and arrived at the top of the church. The top of the church was filled with the aura of the laws of space, and an invisible world of the laws of space was suspended above the church. As soon as Ningcheng approached this world of the laws of space, a feeling of illusory space came over him. Ningcheng knew that this was the power of void teleportation. Because he was next to this world of laws, he could feel the power of void teleportation. If he was not next to this world of laws, then once the aura of this world of the laws of space spread throughout the town, anyone could be teleported away by this space array gate. Previously, the town could not be seen because of this space law world, which caused the space law of the town to change. In fact, the town was still there. After the spatial laws changed, anything with life aura would be brought into the void by the spatial laws. Ningcheng gave out a sigh. He felt sure that Dixian had been swept away by this kind of space. As the power of laws within the spatial teleportation grew stronger and stronger, Ningqing didn't rush to take away this spatial law world. He walked to the edge of the teleportation law power and kept putting up some restrictions and array flags. Catcha, a crack appeared in the void in front of Ningqing. Ningqing knew that this crack could not be seen by others, but it was a crack in the void that led outside of Earth. After Ningqing arranged the last array flag, he stepped into the void within the law world. Outside the church, Lu Pin forcefully pulled Zhengye away from the town, while Kong Li had already run more than 10 meters away. Hey, the town seems to have lit up again. Zhengye's words interrupted Lu Pin's action and made Kong Li stop running. The town, which had gradually become blurry in their perception, once again became clear. The whole town seemed to be completely different from before. I wonder what happened to that Ningqing. Zhengye suddenly remembered that Ningqing had entered the church first and quickly rushed inside again. She rushed to the door of the church and stopped again. This time, there doesn't seem to be that invisible thing blocking us. He's gone. Lu Pin also carefully came to the door of the church. The church was actually not that big, and standing at the door with a searchlight, one could clearly see the things inside the church. Your companion is indeed missing. Kong Li also turned his head and nodded in agreement from behind. The three of them turned silent. Although the three of them were safe, Ningqing, who helped them explore the way, had disappeared. What made Kong Li and Zhengye even more puzzled was that even after they went out in the middle of the night, they did not find any problems. The town neither disappeared, nor did it hide. Of course, they did not find anything. The news that the lost town was no longer lost soon spread out, and people from all over the world came to watch. The last three to become famous were Kong Li, Zhengye, and Lu Pin. The story of Ningqing entering the lost town, and then going missing after entering the church, was written by the three of them. The moment the power of the void teleportation disappeared, Ningqing raised his hand and pulled the law of space suspended above Ruoka town. Ningqing directly pulled the law of space world from the void, sealed it, and threw it into the mysterious yellow bead. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept around and found that this was a completely unfamiliar void. What a pity! Ningqing sighed in his heart. His strength was still too low. If he had enough strength, he would not have taken away the law of space world through the teleportation. He would have first used this law of space world to teleport here, and after observing it, he would then use this law of space world to teleport back. With his Dao perfection cultivation, there was no way to use this uncorrected law of space world to teleport back. In fact, he still had one more thing to do when he returned to Earth. But because he was worried about Dixian, he followed this law of space world to this void. The other thing he wanted to do when he returned to Earth was to search for the legend of the East Emperor Bell. On Earth, the East Emperor Bell had always been regarded as the Bell of Chaos. There was a legend of the Eastern Emperor Bell on Earth, which meant that this thing was very likely to have come from Earth. It was also a real existence. The Eastern Emperor Bell was ranked first among the 10 legendary artifacts on Earth. Of course, this divine artifact should be a divine artifact that surpassed the divine artifact refined by a weapon refining Grand Master. In the legends of Earth, the top 10 divine artifacts were the Bell of the East Emperor, the Xianyuan Sword, the Pangu Axe, the Haotian Pagoda, the Kongtong Seal, the Demon Refining Gourd, the Shinnong Cauldron, the Fushi Zither, the Niwa Stone, and the Kunlun Mirror. It was rumored that the Eastern Emperor Bell was the gate to the heavenly realm, and it was even more powerful than the Pangu Axe that split the heavens and earth. Now that he had the whereabouts of the Chaos Bell, he naturally wanted to know if the East Emperor Bell and the Chaos Bell were the same. At the same time, he also wanted to know if the ancient legends on Earth were true. After all, this was just a casual investigation. Faced with Dixian's whereabouts, Ningqing naturally had to make a choice. Fortunately, he also obtained a 5-headed cauldron. Heavenly Emperor Shinnong had 3 cauldrons. The first cauldron, the Shinnong Cauldron, was ranked among the 10 legendary artifacts on Earth. Although his 5-headed cauldron was not as good as the Shinnong Cauldron, it was still the second cauldron of Heavenly Emperor Shinnong. Naturally, it would not be too bad. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon found that this void was relatively stable. Apart from the occasional meteorite passing by, most of the time, it seemed very calm. Since it was related to Dai Xian's life, Ningqing did not dare to act casually. Dai Xian was also a cultivator. Since the space in this place was stable, maybe Dai Xian could survive. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness searched almost every inch of this space. Just when Ningqing thought that there were no void cracks or void maelstrom in this place, the spiritual consciousness he released suddenly collapsed, followed by a vast aura sweeping away his spiritual consciousness. A powerful void vortex sucked in, forcing Ningqing to retreat in a hurry. In just a few breaths, the force that made his spiritual consciousness collapse into the void vortex disappeared without a trace. The surroundings regained its calm once again, making people wonder if what happened just now was real. Ningqing's heart sank. He knew that what happened just now was real. Not only was it real, but that kind of strong void tearing wasn't something that Dai Xian could block. If Dai Xian came here and encountered such a sudden void crack collapse, coupled with the power of the void vortex after the collapse, Dai Xian would have met with a disaster. Ningqing stayed in place and didn't move. His spiritual consciousness continued to fall on the place where the void collapse vortex had appeared. About 10 hours later, the void collapse appeared once again in the place where the void collapse had appeared. This time, Ningqing didn't hesitate and rushed in. He guessed that Dai Xian most likely fell into this periodic collapse of the void. Otherwise, with Dai Xian's strength, even if she left this place for a year, she would still be within the range of his spiritual consciousness. Ningqing had just rushed into the area where the void had collapsed when a vast and surging force wrapped around him. At this moment, even if Ningqing had the strength of Tao perfection, he couldn't escape this vast force. Since stepping into the starry sky, Ningqing didn't know how many dangers he had encountered. He had also encountered this kind of void collapse that he couldn't escape from. At most, he could escape into the mysterious yellow bead. However, although the void collapse here was extremely powerful, Ningqing could still barely resist it. Feeling the powerful void collapse force, Ningqing didn't think about using his spiritual consciousness to find Dai Xian by chance. If Dai Xian really fell into this place, no matter how lucky she was, she wouldn't have any chance of survival. Ningqing also didn't plan to go back from this place. Anyway, he had already lost his way in the void. If he wanted to go back, he would have to constantly tear the void, and then find a familiar position in the void. But in this place, although Ningqing felt extremely uncomfortable under the constant collapse of the void, he could also feel a vague Dao charm aura from it. This void collapse was somewhat similar to the laws of space, but it was more mysterious than the laws of space. Ningqing quickly immersed himself in it. He even grabbed the Good Fortune Divine Spear, and constantly felt the Dao charm aura in this collapsing space. For Ningqing, the Good Fortune Divine Spear would be his main offensive weapon in the future. However, apart from the traceless spear pattern, he didn't have any other offensive spirit abilities that he could use with the Good Fortune Divine Spear. Although he could use other spirit abilities through the Good Fortune Divine Spear, he couldn't bring out the ultimate power of the Good Fortune Divine Spear. In this place, Ningqing vaguely grasped a new spirit ability, that is the collapse of space. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.